At the last 2 years in this race, there's Bobby East, your onboard camera, your spotlight guy right there, the 09 or onboard camera guy.
Yes, it is. Look at those trucks bounce through the corners too, Phil. I think that's good for these types of racing vehicles. We need a bit of a rough surface so somebody can't just lay their foot on the floorboard and guide through the corner. I got to drive these trucks, and you can see, look, you know, you got the leaders that have separated themselves a little bit, but back in the pack, they're all over each other.
Jack Sprague able to keep up with Ron Hornaday. He's about a second and a half behind, but they ran very, very similar lap times. But those trucks were the fastest two trucks on the racetrack.
It's been fun to watch this 22 truck, the Red Bull truck down on the bottom of Scott Speed, come up to speed in NASCAR or in stock car type racing. He won the ARCA race here yesterday, top 10 like we said at Martinsville, and here he is battling inside the top 10 today. So he's figuring it out pretty quick.
How big of a boost is that when you get your win? When you're able to finally go, okay, I can do it now. Does that give you confidence?
Well, when he started this race today, he was the last person to win at this place. You know? He said, okay, I've got this track down. Now let me see if I can take this truck and communicate with my team the adjustments that I need to make in order to be successful. But, you know, yesterday he got a lap down and came back and won the race. So he just needs to keep concentrating on that truck and relay to the team what he needs to get better. Right now, top 10.
Ron Hornaday out in front by about a second and a half over his teammate Jack Sprague. Chad McCumbie's dropped all the way back, well, to third. The top three running strong here at Kansas. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. By Sitgard's Endurance Heavy Duty Engine Oil and Overdrive Grease. Sit-Go Lubricants. They're in every turn. And by Toyota. Moving forward. Ron Hornaday continues to move forward in his Chevrolet. His teammate trying to hang on, but the difference now 1.8 seconds. But those two have separated themselves from third now as well.
Yeah, they have almost a 5-second lead. Ron Hornaday has a 5-second lead on a third-place truck of Matt McCumbie. There's our second-place truck right there, Jack Sprague. Both trucks out of the KHI stables. See him almost 2 seconds behind our leader right now, Ron Hornaday.
And then there's the difference. Keep waiting, and there's third right now, Chad McCumbie.
But the guy in fourth is a real story, Michael. Mark Mitchell with a career run so far in one of Billy Ballew's Toyotas.
I love seeing this. You know, you love it when guys keep plugging away, and this is his career run so far. He's up in the top 5, looking very strong.
Best finish ever, 13th earlier this year at Daytona. Adam.
And I guess really we shouldn't be surprised, guys, about the 15 of Mark Mitchell. You know, he was 15th in Truck Series points after 3 races, but then dropped outside the top 25 because he didn't run at Martinsville. That's when Denny Hamlin got in the truck. The word from him early, tight, center off. I think we'll hear that from a lot of drivers. Mark Mitchell looking solid, 16 laps in, running 4th, Ray.
And Adam, both of the KHI trucks up front in first and second are brand new chassis, including the one Hornaday is driving today. Now, it's obvious that these guys have a great deal of horsepower under the hood, the way they're running away from the rest of the pack right here. But that is a concern for these teams down here. If you've got that much horsepower, you may be sacrificing in fuel mileage. They're going to keep their eye on that after the first stop here and try to plan out the race. But the big problem could be if we get in a long, long green flag run, they may be forced to come to pit road before some of the other competitors.
Ray, we got to keep an eye on the 88 of Matt Crafton. He qualified in the 26th position, but moved all the way to the back of the pack at the start for unapproved adjustments. He just passed Stacy Compton for the 18th position. Now he's looking at Johnny Benson, who's running 17th. Great run for the guy that got his career best finish the last time we were out at Martinsville.
He was so close to having a second or third place finish at Martinsville a year ago and got crashed on the last corner of the last lap.
Yep.
And now he finishes second at Martinsville, and he's parlayed this run into something solid.
Battle for 7th now between Todd Bodine and Rick Crawford. Crawford looks to the inside of Bodine to take the position away.
I was talking to Rick down in the garage area before the race, and he said they went to Pocono for a couple of weeks. He actually had, got a little bit loose right there. He had Tony Raines drive his truck because he was doing an appearance for Ford. So we worked on a different kind of setup. It worked. He said that's what we're running today. But we've got Scott Speed, the 22, going to move to the inside. He lost enough momentum by getting sideways that allowed Scott Speed to catch up to him and now passing.
And then when he gets down to turn 1, he's thinking, okay, I got sideways off 4. I'm not going to go down in here wide open and think it's going to stick. It's going to have to prove to me that it's going to stick. So he took it easy to that corner. Scott Speed took the position away.
And Michael, as you know, it's so different when you're running around here trying to run wide wide open, and you get loose like that and get a little bit sideways. It's different if you're out of the throttle for 30% of the corners and you get a little bit sideways, you just drive it. When you're trying to run on the mat, it's a big difference.
It's a huge deal, Phil, because you have to be committed. You know, you're committed to going there wide open, and then you wait around to see what your truck's going to do. Sometimes if you wait too long before you decide that it's going to be loose, you'll spin out. When you're at a place, say like at Phoenix where the Cup cars were last week, you let off the gas, you coast. You get in the gas, if it gets sideways, you let off a little bit. Here, you're committed to run wide open, and when it doesn't stick, it gets ugly.
We talked about Matt Craftsman having to go back to the back because of unapproved adjustments. Well, John Wood, currently running in the 21st spot, he had to go to the back because he didn't even qualify. He was qualifying in Talladega when the trucks were qualifying here.
No practice, no nothing. Just jumps in the truck. Brandon Witt qualified in practice for him, and Adam, he's doing a terrific job so far.
Yeah, only 21 laps to make his way to the front. And Phil, you mentioned the fact that Brandon Witt was in this truck yesterday for practice, qualified it for John earlier today, and really it hasn't performed well to this point. But I talked to crew chief John Monson, and he said, you know what, we'll be fine when John gets in the race truck, and that certainly has been the case. 36th up to 21st in the running order very, very quickly. And Michael, you made the trip here with John from Talladega, so how hard is it to go out and qualify at a place like Talladega, fly here and get geared up once again to go out and race that truck?
Well, for John, it was a no-brainer. He was ready. He couldn't wait to get off that airplane and get out here to the track to get in his truck. He'd been communicating with the team. He understood the characteristics of what the truck was doing. He said, I like what you're saying. Leave it alone. I'll get in. We'll be fine. And he's driven all the way up toward the top 20 in just 20 laps.
John Wood knows how to drive around Kansas as well. He has been one of the drivers that has found victory lane at this racetrack. But it's Ron Hornaday that's looking to add his name to the list of winners at this racetrack. And right now, he has a 3-second lead over his own teammate, Jack Sprague. We'll be back with more racing in Kansas after this. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. Our first caution comes out. Here come your leaders on the pit road. Adam Alexander.
And the word for Colin Brown, who started 6th, tight in the center off. He actually dropped back to the 8th position, but has rallied up to 5th, and that's where he is for the first pit stop of the day. It will happen at lap 27. Crew Chief Mike Beam said give him 4 tires, fuel, and they'll make a chassis adjustment to help loosen up the 6th truck. To Ray Dunlap.
Jack Sprague's a little bit tight in his American Commercial Lines race truck, but they are not going to do anything with wedge or track bar. It's all going to be air pressure for him. Sprague is in. He's getting his service all the way at the front of pit road is Ron Hornaday. He'll get 4 tires and fuel, but no adjustments here for the Camping World Chevrolet. And it looks like the 8 truck will be the first one off pit road. Hornaday and Sprague with a good battle.
Very close race off of pit road. It was Chad McCumbee that was off first, and then it looked like the momentum was with Jack Sprague that got across the outline of pit road before Ron Hornaday.
It's Ted Musgrave right there in the Harris Trucking Toyota. Adam?
He came down pit road and he drove right by his pit stall, Phil. They were struggling with the handle in the early going. Looked like a little water blowing out the overflow, so perhaps it's a little warm. And to make all that even worse, he drove right by his pit stall. His service is complete, but he lost a ton of track position there.
Lead lap trucks just getting off of pit road now. The reason for our caution, we'll get to that in just a moment. The Aaron's Lucky Dog going to Jack Smith. It was the 12 of Mario Goslin. The engine expires on his truck. That's what brought out our first caution. Hey, race fans, what better way to follow your favorite driver than with Track Pass from NASCAR.com? And it's free for Talladega. Listen to live in-car audio from a race where team communication is crucial for survival. Get free Track Pass for Talladega only from NASCAR.com. You can listen in to Mikey tomorrow.
Yeah, like that idea.
Ray Dunlap.
Let's give you an update real quick on Chad McCumbee. He was real tight on the racetrack, so they pulled a half a rubber out and went out up 2 rounds on the track bar. That's going to loosen his truck up a good bit. But guess what, guys? They did fuel only on that pit stop, did not change tires on it, and that gave them the position on the racetrack. So Chad McCumbee will be the leader here. He came in 3rd, but went out 1st.
Now, this is a relatively long race, though, Michael. It's, it's 250 miles here. They have 4 sets of tires for this race. Most of them do anyway. One set they started on, 3 in the pits. So maybe a little tire management might be a good plan.
Well, I don't know, Phil. We don't see historically a whole lot of cautions here. So it'd be hard to come and get those tires, even if you need them. The race will run some green flag stops possibly. So if you go by the history of the race, that's not a good move. We'll watch and see how it plays out.
And again, a reminder, the reason for the caution was Mario Goslin in the 12. His engine expired. We're back underway. The green flag back in the air from Kansas Speedway.
Now we watched the scoring monitor. They had lost about a second off the fastest time, Phil, from the beginning of the race to when they pitted on lap 28. So I don't know how long Chad will be able to stay there. But here comes Sprague and Hornaday bearing down on him.
Yeah, Hornaday's moved to the inside of his teammate. He wants that lead back. Remember, his tires are going to cool off a little bit, so they're going to regain some of that speed he had early on. But right now, Ron Hornaday is taking up the second position, and he's going after Chad McCumbee.
Wow, that's a stout truck.
The black flag for Scott Speed as he tries to slow onto pit road, so he is taking that penalty.
I was watching him. He pulled to the inside before he got to the start-finish line and then went ahead and completed that pass. Got a battle for the lead. Left of your screen, Ron Hornaday takes that lead.
Took it away coming out of turn number 2, so Chad McCumbee drops back to second. Jack Sprague now in third.
And I think that there's probably a pretty good chance that 22 will be coming back in to serve a speeding penalty. It looked like he didn't have that thing rode down when he came on the pit road.
Not even close in that first segment. Did you see Jack Sprague goes for the second spot on the inside of Chad McCumbee?
Look out.
Who he's bringing with him.
Yeah, that Northern Tools number 99 of Eric Darnell, who was so dominant a year ago.
Remember, all these teams have had a chance to adjust on these trucks one time now. Eric Darnell didn't show all up. Look, he's got his teammate making it 3 wide.
Colin Brown moves to the inside now.
It's so difficult, Phil, to get on underneath a guy and keep your foot wide open on the floorboard. And he had to crack his throttle just a little bit. Here comes his teammate right up beside him.
Ray, have you got more on what's going on with Scott Speed?
Guys, he passed to the left on the restart, and NASCAR told him that was no good, so he had to come down pit road to serve that penalty, because on the restart you must pass the trucks beside you to the right.
And then when he was serving his penalties back on pit road again, serving a penalty for going too fast on pit road. So sometimes it gets a little bit, one mistake leads to another, and that was the case with Scott Speed.
Frustration for Scott Speed. That will put him at least a lap down now, as he had to go through 2 penalties.
The better you know the rules, the more likely not to make that second mistake. Say you knew you did wrong on the restart. You said, I did pass to the left. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to serve my penalty, and I'm going to get it back.
Let's take a look at this now. Look right there. We're going to watch Scott Speed. He pulls out to the inside of the 09. He starts the pass to the left before they got to the start-finish line, and then he went ahead and completed the pass. In the ARCA Remax Series, he probably could have got by with that. Not here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
That was the attempt. He was in the attempt. He made an attempt to pass before the start-finish line. That is not allowed. And he just said, I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't up beside him. And when he came onto pit road, he hadn't got calmed down enough to make that pass-through penalty, and he sped through the first segment. And NASCAR said, I got some more bad news for you, Scotty boy. You're going to come back in and do that again. That's just very, very difficult for a competitive cat to take.
Speaking of bad news, is Chad McCumbee right now saying, okay, that was, we got a problem. John Wood is involved in this one as they slide up the racetrack. Also involved the 4 of Stacy Compton. So 2 trucks involved in this most recent caution.
We saw John Wood come back on pit road late, Phil, to either top that truck off or do some work on it, and now he's crashed.
Yeah, we reported that he had made his way all the way near the top 20. Then he came down pit road when everyone else did on lap number 27, and then a couple laps later came back into pit road, as you mentioned, and now we've got serious problems for he and Stacy Compton.
Those 2 were sideways going through the corner. John Wood was just behind the 4 of Stacy Compton.
So a lot of right side damage to that truck right there. Right front tires down, left rear tires down on Stacy Compton's truck.
See if we can take a look at the replay here, Rick. Oh.
Stacy was just on the inside of the 07 of Ryan Lawler. It looks like he was going to save it and then just ran out of racetrack. John committed to the bottom, was trying to get by, thought Stacy would move back up the racetrack, and then they made contact down on the bottom of the racetrack.
I don't think sometimes people appreciate how hard these things are to get stopped. You go down in a corner, run 180 mile an hour, you're turning left, you see a truck wrecking, you got to make your bet which way he's going to go. John bet low, and John went low. He bets 4 truck would go high, and it didn't work out.
Stacy just got a little bit loose down on the inside. We see it so often.
See how far John's back, thinking, I got it, and here comes the 4 truck.
Looked like he was going to be completely clear, and then Stacy's truck just turned left hard. There's the tail end of it right there where they already make contact and they slide up into the outside safer barrier. Landon Castle does a good job going by on the inside on the apron.
Adam Alexander.
Well, and guys, it's been a challenge for John Wood here in the early going. He did bring the truck down pit road. They've looked over the damage, and they were hoping to not go down a lap, but the pace truck has already gone around, and you can see the crew continues to work on that heavily damaged right side of the 21 truck. Right?
Adam, this gives the number 8 truck and Chad McCumbee and their entire crew a chance to put on 4 fresh tires here. They also make a wedge adjustment in that number 8. And he'll head back to the racetrack. So right now he pitted on lap 37. The last round of pit stops happened on 27. So McCumbee with fresher rubber than the rest of the field.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 40 of Chad Chaffin. So he will be back on the lead lap. That will make it 29 on the lead lap when we get the green flag when we come back to Kansas.
The NASCAR Day Telethon is on Friday, May 16th. Call 1-888-May 16th to make your donation and help make a difference.
Monday night on Speed, tune in for the only show where the drivers tell the story. This week in NASCAR, Steve Burns hosts some of the biggest names in NASCAR to discuss last weekend's race and what's up next. This week in NASCAR, Monday night, 8 Eastern on Speed. Also on Speed coming up that weekend after we just heard from Casey Kane, the All-Star weekend taking place at Lowe's.
They got a burnout competition. How cool is that going to be?
Hey, and the only point race in NASCAR of that weekend will be our truck race.
Mansfield.
In Charlotte.
In Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I'll be there Friday night. I tell you what, you'll be there as well.
I will not only be there, I'll also be on Speed on Monday doing the This Week in NASCAR show.
You're all over Speed. You're
just
kind of the face of Speed.
I love Speed, and I love truck racing, and I love the All-Star race. What a great weekend. Dale Jarrett making his officially last start in the All-Star race. A lot of good things happened. There's John Wood, not a lot of good things happening there. That was unfortunate. He didn't do anything wrong. He just, sometimes
just a victim.
You got to write down in your notes unavoidable accident, and that's what John found himself in. There was not enough information for him to decide which way to go when he had to decide which way to go.
And it looked like Stacy was going to go back up the hill. Stacy got loose down on the inside, got completely sideways. Looked for a moment like he may be able to save it, and unfortunately ducked back down to the bottom. John had committed to the bottom of the racetrack after a great start. Great day in Talladega for him. He made that Sprint Cup race and came here and looked like he was on his way to a good finish, and unfortunately disaster struck.
Looks like they're going another lap around under caution. Hey guys, I want to throw something at you. It's time to test your Truck Series knowledge with the Aaron's Lucky Guess trivia question. In 2001, Ricky Hendrick won his first and only NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at the inaugural truck event here at the Kansas Speedway. Now, can you name the 2 other drivers who also got their first NASCAR win here at Kansas Speedway, just like Ricky?
Michael's shaking his head, yes.
I got those. I know. We've talked about them.
I can give you a clue. Okay. What if I give you a clue?
Let's hear it.
Both of the drivers are in today's field.
They are, and we've talked about them already today.
Yes.
But you can't say it yet.
Oh, it's not time?
No.
Aaron's just makes racing fun. I don't care who you are.
I'm not going to give you the answer yet. I'm going to hold on. We're going to see if people can figure it out.
I like that. That's like I got a buddy that says, hey, Mike, guess what? I'm hungry. I'm like, dude, you got to wait.
Adam Alexander.
Todd Bodine started 10th today, guys, up to 5th after 40 laps, and they were not satisfied with how this truck handled after the happy hour practice session here late yesterday afternoon. A number of changes this morning in the garage. It appears they've paid off. He's where you would expect him to be in a 1.5 mile racetrack running in the top 5. And Mike Skinner not too bad on 1.5 miles either, Ray.
No, he's not, Adam, and this exact race truck that he has today here at Kansas won last year at Atlanta and also at California. So they know this is a good enough truck to get to victory lane. But they had the same problem yesterday as you were talking about with Todd Bodine. Very, very tight coming off of corn number 2. And a lot of that they think had to do with how windy it was here at this racetrack yesterday. It's not quite as windy today, and Skinner says his truck is driving much, much better.
I've talked to Skinner a bunch, guys, about his setup, and he's really concerned. He can't figure out whether he wants to run conventionally or if they want to do the coal bind deal. Sometimes he finds one better than the other. They just don't seem to have their arms around this thing right now.
3 wide as they go out out of turn number 2 and onto the backstretch. Scott Speed right in the middle of that. Now Scott is not scored on the lead lap because of the problems he had.
Oh, it's tight.
Sure is. That 9 truck, that green truck up there is Justin Marks. He is racing Scott Speed to try to get in position to be that Aaron's lucky dog.
Scott Speed was able to stay only 1 lap down after having to come onto pit road 2 times because of 2 penalties that he had to incur.
Some great racing here. You see Bobby East, that yellow truck on the outside. There's Matt Craftsman. Remember, he started all the way at the back. That's him on the left, the 88 truck up in the top 10.
Wow, 2 teammates riding side by side. Brendan Gaughan was able to just get by his teammate Rick Crawford, and now Brendan Gaughan on the roll on the high side of this racetrack.
He's liking the way that high side.
Oh, look at Bobby East get loose.
Oh, hang on to it.
But then somebody got up in his groove on the outside. He had to back off. That cost him a lot of positions. Bobby East about lost it up there in turn 4.
Look at Dennis Setzer driving by on the apron.
Dennis Setzer makes it 3 wide, but not actually on the racetrack.
There's Chad McCumbee right there. Remember, he has the fresh tires. Did not put tires on that first round of pit stops. Came in the next caution. Now he has fresher tires than anybody else.
Look at the battle for the lead. For the first time, Hornaday's being stalked by Sprague. He's caught him with 4 or 5 truck lengths on this lap, Phil.
Ron Hornaday has held the lead for quite a few laps here today. Also, Jason White stayed out for a lap and held the lead, but it was Chad McCumbee, the only other driver that's been in front of this field today.
Will we see some team orders to allow Jack Sprague to get up to the lead this race to get 5 points? Remember, these guys are teammates on the left of our screen.
It looks like that might be what is positioning to happen here.
They wanted to probably get a little gap on the 3rd place truck before they did that.
Let's take a look again at Bobby East just in front of Brendan Gaughan here and how much of a handful he had.
It just gets to wobbling on him, and you can't hardly, it's hard to catch it. Brendan heads up, did a great job not getting in the back of that truck and making things worse.
Just a small, slight touch in the back of that 09 truck, and around he would go.
Brendan Gaughan cautiously backed off the gas, and obviously it hurt him quite a bit because he was on a roll on the high side of the track.
Here we go for the lead. Hornaday pulling down to the bottom of the track. Is he giving Sprague the lead and 5 points? Yes.
It looks like he is. Pulled all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. So Jack Sprague will get 5 bonus points for leading a lap. As they come out of turn number 4, he'll add his name to lap leaders here at Kansas.
Hornaday's saying, well, you know, you separate yourself from the rest of them like I did. I think I'll bonus you 5 points for that.
Now he's going to return the favor here momentarily. Have great racing there on this right of our screen. Battle for 7th to 15 left of your screen on the right. Mark Mitchell, he's got 7th. That's Matt Crafton, the 88 truck, all the way from the back of the field up into the top 10, running 8th.
Hornaday comes back, and look at Colin Brown making the move to the inside.
He's not part of the team orders.
Oh, no. Somebody gave him the team orders, and he's like, I'll take them. Not able to continue that pass on Jack Sprague, though, so he drops back to 3rd. Adam Alexander.
And how about the run for young Colin Brown? 3rd in the running order, and not afraid to mix it up with the veterans, Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague. And you know, one benefit for a 19-year-old, having some experience on the spotter stand. Bobby Hudson, the guy calling the shots all season long for Colin Brown. I've got to believe that is a calming influence on a young driver who today looks anything but youthful here at Kansas, Ray.
And Adam, Brendan Gaughan just came on the radio moments ago and said this thing is starting to feel much more like a fuel mileage race like we had talked about at the beginning of the show. But he said, guys, I have to apologize. I have not been doing a very good job behind the wheel here of saving fuel. He said, I've been up and down the racetrack. I've been tight in traffic. I've been all over the racetrack. So far, I haven't been able to do my part. But he said he thinks, just as we talked about at the beginning of the show, fuel mileage could be a big part of who wins tonight at Kansas.
You're exactly right, Ray. We've got a great battle right here for 11th on the racetrack. That's David Starr, the Red Horse Racing Toyota on the left. The 11, there's Rick Crawford, the 14, Power Stroke Diesel by International Ford. Good battle behind those 2 trucks as well. Another side-by-side battle.
And that was 11th and 12th between Starr and Crawford.
There's Shane Sieg. Remember, we're used to seeing Kyle Busch drive that 51 truck for Billy Blue, the Miccosukee Indian Gaming Resort Toyota. Shane Sieg giving that truck a good ride.
I like the way he's running that thing. Both the Billy Blue trucks are very solid today. Mark Mitchell up in the top 10, and here's Sieg battling inside the top 15, racing with Rick Crawford. You start racing with Crawford and Starr and Gaughan and those guys.
Those are the right people to be racing
That's
with.
where you want to be.
Good group to be a part of. Right now, trying to check out on the field, it's still Hornaday and Sprague. Kevin Harvick racing doing very well here today.
Back at Kansas Speedway, leaders on pit road at lap 53. Second time they've come down today. We talk about the 6 truck of Colin Brown. It's tight, but getting better. No tires. They're going to save them for later. Fuel and an adjustment. Brown pulls away to Ray Dunlap.
It's the same thing for Jack Sprague. He said, we've got to get fuel here. We don't want to get caught out on a lock run. Now, Rick Wren had decided he was not going to pit with Ron Hornaday here, and then Rick Corelli, the spotter, came on and said the 2 is coming for fuel, and the 2 will be the first one off pit road. Hornaday will go off about 4th.
The leader is Chad McCumbee. He did not stop. And remember now, these guys have run over 25 laps since their last pit stop, other than people like Chad McCumbee that pitted on our most recent caution. So great move to come in, at least get fuel, Michael. You're halfway through a fuel run.
Well, I agree, Phil. And Chad, he rolled some dice earlier and stayed out. That didn't work. So 10 laps later he pits, and now he stays out on this pit on this caution because he had no choice. He had lost all his track position. He got it back now.
Third caution of the day comes out. Take a look at this. Again, that Shane Sieg in that 51.
Looked like he got loose there, had to chase the truck up the hill, made some contact with the 10 of Brendan Gaughan. Brendan jumped on the gas to keep that truck from spinning around or getting in the outside wall. No damage for Brendan Gaughan.
Wow, I love that. Did you hear the motor on Brendan's truck? Look at that. Wide open, bowling the tires, keeps it headed in the right direction. Great job by Brendan Gaughan. You don't have any idea how hard that is to do.
That's textbook right there. That's how you do it right there.
Riding along with Bobby East.
Look how sideways that truck is right in front of him.
But he just buried the throttle and steered his way out of it.
Terrific
Unbelievable.
job.
I love that. That was so cool.
Again, it's our third caution of the day. A reminder that 51 is leading the owner's points in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. A big day for Shane Sieg. He's going to have to get back out on the racetrack. We talked earlier about the Aaron's Lucky Guess trivia question. And Michael, you were pretty confident of who the recipients or the winners were. Did you know it was John Wood and Eric Darnell?
I did. I was all over that. And those wins were both done in fairly dominant fashion. I like the way these 2 cats won. And what that does, anyone in this field that hasn't won yet, they come to Kansas and say, it's been done 3 times by first-time winners. I want to be the next.
Out of 7.
Exactly.
So that's some pretty good odds right there.
Ricky Hendrick did it in the first race. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series came to Kansas. John Wood did it in 03 and Eric Darnell in 07. The Aaron's Lucky Dog goes to the 09 of Justin Marks, so he will be back on the lead lap.
Had a good battle with Scott Speed, the 22 Red Bull Toyota, for that Lucky Dog, and he was able to get it. Now Scott Speed is hoping to get the next Lucky Dog.
Is there anything else presented by Aaron's in this segment, or is that all we're doing today? They're sponsoring the Cup race tomorrow in Talladega. It's the Aaron's 499. The 312 was over there today, so all kinds of action in NASCAR this weekend. Why did he come to pit road, Phil?
I don't know. He came in as well as the 60 of Terry Cook. Maybe
window?
Maybe just to top off. You see, there's a little bit over 110 laps to go. Why did that 60 truck come in, Adam?
They were actually penalized when they came in on that first stop at lap 53. They did right side tires, but that rear tire did not make its way halfway to the pit wall before Terry left the pit box. That a new rule by NASCAR, therefore he was penalized and he pulled away too soon. So they decided, since that was the case and they were going to have to come back down and serve the penalty, they would get left side tires. So at lap 55, left side tires and fuel as we go back to green.
Chad McCumbee with a good restart, jumps out in front of the rest of the field.
Jack Smith in that 63 didn't get such a good restart. He got the Aaron's Lucky Dog earlier, and he stayed on the track, riding in the 2nd spot right now.
Had a lot of good trucks going by him on the outside. There's the 2 leading that pack right there. Jack Sprague, Mike Skinner up behind him, then Colin Brown.
Hornaday restarted earlier in 3rd spot, and it took him all about a lap to get the lead. Let's see how he does. He's got 5 or 6 trucks to pass this time.
Ooh, Skinner getting a little bit loose, moving up the racetrack, chasing that truck.
Sun beating down on this racing surface as we see Hornaday making his way by the 6 of Colin Brown. 3 wide, Matt Crafton decides to take the apron. We've seen Johnny Benson do that today. We've seen Dennis Setzer do it. Now Matt Crafton tries it.
3 wide, you see Ryan Lawler.
Trouble! Eric Darnell into the wall. Rick Crawford got into the rear quarter panel. It looked like we're going to have to look at that once again. No caution has come out as of yet. The field still working their way around him.
It looked like that was the situation we've been talking about this entire race, where you get tight off of turn number 2. It looked like possibly Rick may have pushed a little bit off that corner as they go 3 wide here at the start finish line.
Hornaday's picked his teammate to try to shove right through the middle of these guys, and it worked. Sprague to the outside of Skinner, and he's making the pass on the outside.
Again, Darnell into the wall. No caution came out as they go 2 by 2 coming out of turn number 2.
Yeah, horrible break for our most defending champion of this race.
A lot of damage to the right side of that truck as they will go to work on it and see if they can get it back out on the racetrack.
That's behind the wall work they're going to have to do there.
And they're taking a look at it.
What about our man Colin Brown? He likes to dive down to the bottom with these guys. He dove on the inside of Ron Hornaday. Probably made a good decision there to back off a little early and let Ron have a little room.
You're right, Michael. They were pushing that 99 back so that they could get it through the opening and take it behind the wall to do a little more work on that. We'll keep you abreast as to what's going on with Eric Darnell.
Rick, let's take a look at what went on here. What happened coming off turn 2 here? You see Rick Crawford, he's on the outside right now. Colin Brown on the inside. Rick's going to try to go by the 99. They're just very, Rick gets a little bit loose, Michael, right there. He was on the inside, got a little bit loose, and made just the slightest bit of contact. Did not even put a mark on Eric Darnell's truck, but unfortunately enough to put Eric in the wall.
And that's what you have to understand. That's how close to out of control you are. You know, you can barely get through there on your own. Somebody just barely, you know, you hear sometime, I just barely hit him. Well, darn, that's enough to crash a truck, and that's what happened to Darnell. Crawford just was saving himself. He had already crashed and had to save his truck, and when he did, he hit Eric.
Just on the inside of another truck, just lost the air off that rear spoiler. We see it happen so often.
And again, it's because of the commitment you have to make the corner. You got your foot all the way against the floorboard. Yeah, you know, you've decided you got to go wide open, and the thing gets away from you. It happens so fast you can't recover.
Good battle right here. That's the 09 of Bobby East. The ZAXBY'S Ford on the outside. There's a view from his onboard. Looks like David Starr, the Red Horse Toyota, right behind him. That's a battle for the 11th position right there.
Field again trying to spread out just a bit.
Look at this battle.
Skinner and Hornaday.
We didn't see this battle last year at all.
Last year, Skinner and Hornaday. Now Hornaday to the inside. He tries to take the position away from Mike Skinner.
Mike says, not quite, Ron. You don't have enough on me here. I'm going to stick it to you on the outside. He does just that, keeps the position, and Ron says, well, if I couldn't do it on the bottom, I'm going to try the top.
Ron wasn't able to stay in the throttle there because he couldn't use that centrifugal force all the way to the wall because Skinner was there, but he's going to make it happen on the outside.
He's able to complete the pass as they went by the start-finish line. Here comes Colin Brown once again. He's had signs of greatness, flashes of brilliance today, but he's not been able to get all the way to the front of this pack.
Well, I think everybody, it's a tough job to take a nationwide car to Mexico. That's a tight race. I know his history is road racing, but he put it on some great road racers down there in qualifying. Gained a lot of respect, I think, from the NASCAR community by getting the pole down there, and this performance today just backs up this kid knows what he's doing.
On the inside of Mike Skinner, trying to take that position away. Behind them just a bit, the 30 of Todd Bodine, currently in the 16th spot. Adam, what's going on with Todd?
Yeah, he's 11 spots behind where he was when he pitted at lap 53, and they, like so many of the other guys at the front of the field that pitted, did fuel only, as you see him racing Bobby East here for the 16th position. But the reason they had problems getting off pit road, they nearly ran into Brian Scott. They had lost all their track position avoiding that accident, so they decided to come back down at lap 55, top off the fuel tank, and make an adjustment. But as you can see, Todd Bodine quickly working his way back through the field, right?
Well, Adam, it looks like a great deal of sheet metal damage here to the Northern Tool and Equipment Ford.
Oh,
and we got a problem on the racetrack. Yep. I see smoke over in turn 4.
It's the 46 of Landon Castle who slides into the infield, and that will bring out our 4th caution of the day. It didn't come out when Eric Darnell hits the wall, but it does come out when all the smoke goes across the racetrack in turn 4 so that the field can't see the racetrack.
Landon's trying to get over to pit road. Looks like a lawnmower.
Ray, we're going to head back down to you and with Eric Darnell.
Yeah, and they're starting to assess the damage here, Rick. They know they need to put a brake rotor on the front. Eric, have you looked the truck over? How bad is it?
We got into the suspension a little bit. You know, it's unfortunate. Northern Tool and Equipment Ford was good today. I really, until I see a replay, I really don't know what happened. I heard inside, and next thing I know, I felt like somebody got in the left rear and just kind of turned us into the wall. But there's so little room up there. By the time I had it corrected, we were already up at the top of the track and bounced it off the wall. I don't really know what happened, but pretty unfortunate.
All right, well, the guys are going to work here, and they will try as hard as they can to get this 99 back out there for those valuable points.
Eric will feel a little bit better if he knows that Rick Crawford was out of control. I mean, it's not going to help much, but you'd rather know a guy was trying to keep it off of you when he got sideways and hit you than just running into you. And Rick just ran out of control there.
Yeah, and he doesn't drive that way.
No.
You don't think of Rick Crawford as somebody that's going to go up there and run into you. So just one of those deals. He got a little bit loose on the inside. As you mentioned, lost control and had to move up the hill a little bit. Just caught that left rear of Eric Darnell.
Take a look at this. This is why we're under our 4th caution of the day. It was Landon Castle spinning coming out of 4.
You see Scott Lagasse going by. That 20 truck on the apron avoids Landon Castle.
That's some plush grass. I'm going to tell you that. Aaron's lucky dog. You know you can rent lawnmowers at Aaron's too.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to Scott Speed in the 22, so he gets his lap back. Well, could this be flashes of what took place yesterday? You're going to have to find out. Watch the ARCA REMAX Series race later after the Truck Series race to find out how Scott Speed was able to find victory lane. They continue to come down onto pit road. Adam Alexander.
Colin Brown in for the 3rd time today, and each time he's come down, they've worked to make it better off the corner. He said it's still a tick tight, but getting better. This stop, 4 tires, fuel, and a little bit more of an adjustment to help it turn. Ray Dunlap.
The last time Chad McCumbee was on lap 37, and they made those adjustments earlier to try to loosen him up. He said the truck is much better. He really likes the way it's getting off of the corner from 2 and corner 4. They'll put air pressure in the right front of that 8 truck, and they'll get him back out to the racetrack. We saw Skinner was also in, along with Hornaday and a host of other trucks.
You know, Phil, I like to try to guess what these cats are going to do. I was totally torn right there. Do we pit or not pit? What do you think?
The key is they're now in their window. All these guys can run about 50 laps. We have 100 laps to go. One more pit stop. They can all make it.
Chad McCumbee making his way on the apron of this racetrack. Jack Sprague currently scored as our race leader.
Was the 33 the first one off?
He was not, but tomorrow on Wind Tunnel, you can be part of all the top stories in motorsports. Whether you want to argue, agree, or just share your opinion, just call in or email and let Dave know how you really feel. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain, live tomorrow, 9 Eastern. What are you laughing at? Because Ray jumped in there at the beginning? It's okay. Andy Hillenberg's going to be a part of that. You can talk with Andy, the new owner of the Rockingham Speedway, where the ARCA REMAX Series is headed next weekend.
Yeah, great to see Andy open up Rockingham Speedway, put racing back at Rockingham like it belongs to be. Going to have a huge ARCA REMAX race there next week. The biggest purse in the history of the ARCA Series going to start is up to 50 cars in that race at Rockingham in that 1 mile super speedway.
I'm going to go watch. I love Rockingham.
I'm going to be there.
I'm going to watch.
Are you going to drive?
No, I'm not going to drive.
I thought you were going to drive.
I wanted to. It didn't work out, unfortunately. But I will be broadcasting that race on Speed.
I'm gonna ARCA Action follows this race, you know, and I love the series. It has matured to such a level now. The racing is intense.
And good equipment too.
Oh, it's great.
A lot of the equipment from the old Nextel Cup, Sprint Cup series has made its way into the ARCA REMAX series, and terrific field of cars here for that ARCA race.
And the race after this in ARCA is going to be killer, but I can't wait to see what happens at Rockingham. That's going to be fun.
Green flag back in the air as we're back underway with the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Out in front of the field, it's Jack Sprague. He stayed on the racetrack. Johnny Benson in second now. Mark Mitchell third. Dennis Setzer fourth. And rounding out the top 5 is David Starr.
We had several trucks stay on the racetrack that time. We know that the guys that pitted that time can make it on one more stop. We're not too sure about Jack Sprague and Johnny Benson, Mark Mitchell, those other guys.
Well, I think people have changed their attitude about how this race is going to play out. You know, I talked early in the broadcast that these different spacers with the less horsepower is making cornering more difficult. We're seeing more and more cautions. I think these guys said, okay, I need to wait a little bit more before I come to pit road to get some more tires.
How many times have we seen somebody take the apron coming through the trial?
It is the short way. That was Chad McCumbee, the one you were talking about, that red truck.
Riding along with Brendan Gaughan.
Brennan's up in the top 10 right now, being shown in the 8th position, having a great run with a terrific save. He should have lost that truck there 20 laps ago.
That would have been fun to ride along with the Ford onboard camera when he was sideways coming out of turn 4. They're going to make it 3 wide. Todd Bodine on the inside, Ted Musgrave, and, well, they opted not to make it 3 wide. Brian Scott held back just a bit.
Ted got a little bit loose, but then stayed in the throttle and pulled back out around the 30 of Todd Bodine.
No problems again. Mark Mitchell in the 15 gets into the wall. There was contact before that, though. There's going to be some damage on another truck.
Yeah, the second Billy Ballou truck with damage. And what a great run Mark Mitchell was having, too. Had run up in the top 5 early, was in the top 5 because of staying on the racetrack this time, and unfortunately some pretty hard contact.
He and Shane Sieg both were having great days, and both of them aren't going to have much to show for it.
Yeah, we're probably going to see when we take a look at this that there was some contact somewhere that precipitated this.
He was sideways before he got into the wall, and so must have been some contact that sent him in that direction. We see him rolling around on the apron of this racetrack now. Again, it was Jack Sprague that's out front. Let's take another look.
See, that's Mark right there on the outside. Actually, the 11 of David Starr's going in the outside, making it 4 wide for a moment. Terry Cook moves up the racetrack. It looked like Mark just ran into the left rear corner of the 11 of David Starr, and that turned him sideways, and he had to catch it up against the wall.
He was probably hearing an earful from his spotter, inside, outside, and when he got to the corner, he was a little bit maybe unsure of how much room he had on the inside, didn't turn his truck left soon enough, and got into the quarter panel of the other truck.
And a bad situation here for the 18. Take a look. He ends up hitting Mark Mitchell pretty solid with the right front of his truck, so there might be some damage to the right front of that 18 that they're going to have to do some serious work to.
Yeah, the front ends of those trucks are so critical. Here's Brendan Gaughan's onboard camera. You're going to watch it right here. Wow. Just got by before Mark Mitchell slid up into the outside wall. Good job by Brendan.
I hope he wins the race. Anybody goes through what all he's gone through, he needs to win the race.
Well, bad news for Mark Mitchell, but good news for his teammate, Shane Sieg. He gets the free pass.
This is interesting. Jack Sprague is going to give up all his track position, only run 4 or 5 laps since the other leaders pitted. This is critical.
Right, and he was one of the drivers that stayed out on the racetrack, right?
Well, and Ernie Cope was not quite sure that they were in their fuel window on that last one. He said, this gives us that little bit extra we may need in case we get a green, white checkered finish to this race. So now they feel they're confident that they can do this on one more stop. Fuel going in, the American Commercial Line Chevrolet, and the guys go to work. Adam?
And a similar strategy playing out for Dennis Setzer. He stayed out last time around. This time, the most recent winner of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on pit road. And they have some damage on the right front. They're pulling out that right front fender. They have already changed those right side tires. It will be a 4-tire stop, and they will top off the fuel tank. This stop coming at lap 74 for the 18.
So the pit strategy is continuing as Shane Sieg makes his way around the field. He gets a lap back. He'll be back on the lead lap, making it 28 when we come back. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. By Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. And by Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge. Grab life. Again, 5 cautions taking place at Kansas. The 23 on pit road, Adam.
Well, and Rick, we were over visiting with Mark Mitchell, who was involved in this most recent accident, but they come down and get fuel only here at lap 76. So that's the word for Johnny Benson, and he will turn the front spot over to Ron Hornaday.
That's something we're fairly familiar with today. Ron's got the best truck, and I think that's the fun thing about this series and the strategy we're seeing these guys trying to figure out with different pit stops and whether you take tires or gas or not. Can the best truck win the race, or is strategy going to play into who wins it?
And the strategy is different within their own team.
Exactly.
Their teammate Jack Sprague stayed on the racetrack, and then this caution flag comes up because Ernie Cope wasn't sure they had quite enough mileage to make it on one more stop, so he comes in and gets fuel.
And then we're making these strategy plays to set us up for our last stop. We're not even to our last stop yet, and we have differing strategies.
Doesn't strategy play into everyone?
Sometimes you have a caution with 20 to go and you got the fastest truck and you just beat them. No strategy to it.
Okay.
But sometimes, you know, the race goes out and you run 50 laps, caution comes out, everybody pits. You run another 50 laps, the caution comes out, everybody pits. So sometimes there really is no strategy involved. You do what everyone does, the exact same things.
But when you don't have the best truck, sometimes you want to do something a little bit different than the guy that's got the best truck. The guy with the best truck is leading the race now, but there's still a lot of decisions to be made between here and the checker.
Green, green, green.
Green flag back in the air at Kansas. Closing in on the halfway point. Just over 83 laps will be halfway on this one.
So to answer your question, Rick, no.
Took us a long time.
Actually, it was a great answer. Ron Hornaday, Terry Cook, David Starr, Brendan Gaughan, Matt Crafton. Yep, that's right. I said Brendan Gaughan in the top 5.
Oh. And Matt Crafton as well. Started all the way at the back of the field. We documented his early success, his run up into the top 20. Right now battling in the top 5.
Brendan Gaughan, he goes to the high side. He has run very well on the top of this racetrack. He moves to 3rd.
What a great move. He's having a good day driving that truck. He's not only saved it a couple times, but he puts the hammer down and aims it, and it sticks.
I was talking to Brian Berry, Brendan's gone crew chief this morning, and Brendan was out there watching the IRL cars practice. You know, they run a little higher line here than doing the Craftsman trucks. They don't stay on the bottom of the racetrack, and Brian said, boy, Brendan's really happy about that because they're putting some rubber down in his line up there on the high side.
And you can see he had a choice there. There was no one around. He wasn't trying to pass anybody. You saw the other trucks right down on the bottom of the racetrack. Brendan running right through the middle up to the top side.
Johnny Benson working his way back. He's got a good guy to run with there, and Jack Sprague in that number 2.
Remember, these are a couple of the trucks that made pit stops on this most recent caution flag. All the way back right now towards the back of the top 20.
A little bit tense time for these trucks. Look at all that traffic they're looking up at. And you know how hard it is to keep these things straight when you're in a pack. So Jack and Johnny got to be cognizant that something can go wrong right now up ahead of them.
Great racing on the racetrack. Let's go into the garage with Adam Alexander.
And unfortunately, visiting with a guy who was at the front all day long. Mark Mitchell, what puts you out?
You know, just a bad mistake by another driver, but you know, we worked hard all day. Came from 23rd in practice to qualifying 5th. Can't thank this Ergon crew enough, man. The guys at the shop work hard. Doug George, my crew chief, is making great calls all day. We've been getting better and better as each stop we made, and we're going to have a good chance to have a top 5 finish and only my 4th start. So just one of those racing incidents. You know, I know Tom DeLoach's a good car owner, and you know, hopefully we'll get things worked out. I switched to Toyota, and I wish I could race around him a little bit more, but we'll go to Charlotte and back up what we did here.
And guys, the plan for Mark Mitchell to run every race from here on out. The only question mark, Martinsville in October.
Good battle right here. Matt Crafton and the 6 of Colin Brown were side by side. Colin got loose coming off turn 4 there. Pretty anxious moment.
Colin's got a lot of confidence in that truck. He fired it down on the inside. Now in the back of Crafton. Runs into the back of Crafton.
We got problems coming out of 4. It looks like Crafton up into the wall. We're taking a look at what happened there, but you see that 88 limping around the racetrack now. He's got damage to the right side, very slight.
The 6 just drove into the corner and hit him right in the back and knocked the 88 up into the wall. I watched the 6 the lap before we all did get loose on the inside. He still was very aggressive getting into 3, and he just ran in the back.
Yeah, he's going to have problems. He's going to have to get to pit road here. The smoke starting to roll out. There must be a tire rub there.
Yeah, while we were watching the replay of the lap before, then as Michael said, he got in the back of him. Not sure if Colin's going to have any damage or not, but it's going to ruin Matt Crafton's day.
Matt needs a caution to get on pit road and address this. If not, you're right, Phil. It will ruin his day. Gets a caution. It doesn't look like the damage is that bad on the back. Let's look and see what happened. I don't understand this for sure.
Colin right up underneath him, lifts the rear tires off the ground.
I guess I do understand.
Yeah. Doesn't appear to be that much damage to the front of that Conway Ford.
That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, it's turn 3 and 4, and we heard so many drivers saying, well, I can keep it flat-footed through there, and maybe Colin Brown was thinking, I'm going to keep it flat-footed, and Matt Crafton couldn't.
Yeah, Matt's going to have to make his way to pit road there, but you're responsible for your truck, though. You're responsible for not running in the back of somebody if they back off a little bit earlier maybe than you think they're going to.
After coming off a career best finish at Martinsville, we see Matt Crafton making his way onto pit road, and they will have to go to work on that Menard Chevrolet.
That's a good decision, though, to get that thing to fit pit road, Phil. Adam, what are they saying?
Well, originally they wanted to stay out, but Matt came on the radio, and a big benefit for them. Now the caution has come out. He's already on pit road getting service, guys.
Yeah, Adam, we took a peek there at the 20. Scott Legacy Jr., he gets turned around and backs it into the wall. Look at all the damage to the back of that truck. Gets it going again. That's out of turn 2. So that has been a big problem today, as well as been going through 3 and 4.
Well, it's like we said from the start. The trucks are having to run so hard through the corners. There's very, very little margin for error, and that's why we're seeing a bunch of spin outs and crashes.
These guys are so cognizant of these trucks being tight off of turn 2, so they try to lean on them as much as they can to try to get them as free as they can so they're not too tight off of 2, and a lot of times it gets these trucks a little bit too loose.
And see if we can figure out what happened. Nah, too late. 20 trucks.
Looked like he was by himself, though. Didn't look like there was maybe any contact from any other trucks.
There was a gap.
Running along with Bobby East. His Ford onboard showing us the picture.
Yeah, looked like right through the center of the corner. Maybe he got loose, had to chase it up the hill, didn't quite catch it. Made some contact with an outside wall.
Heavy damage to the back of that truck. Looks like Craftsman might can get his truck to still be competitive. Some of the lead lap trucks are pitting. Got some action on pit road.
David Starr is coming down pit road, as well as
71 of Donnie Leah.
Donnie Leah, and then several trucks towards the end of this lead lap line are coming down pit road.
Leah's been able to manage. He's managed to keep that truck up in the 11th spot, having a strong run.
Comes down for service as we've passed the halfway point. Adam Alexander.
And they did right side tires, did Matt Craftsman that first time, sent him on his way. They didn't want to lose any more time behind the leader. Now you can see them going to work on the right rear of the truck. It's completely buckled up where he brushed the outside wall. Matt has stayed calm on the radio for the most part, but then he did come on and say, did he just run right into the back of me? I believe referring to the 6 of Colin Brown. Disappointment for the 88 bunch, as you said, Rick, coming off a career best finish at Martinsville a few weeks ago and looked so good in the early going here at Kansas today.
A lot of tools coming over the wall today. Craftsman always on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to tools. Today we want to spotlight another important piece of equipment that Craftsman makes available to all of us in the Craftsman tools of the trade.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, whenever you start talking about drills, Craftsman has a lot of different ones, but this one is very unique. You notice the long, skinny handle and the very short chuck right here. What's nice about that is it really allows you to get in to some very tight places. Now, this is great if you're a plumber or if you're a carpenter and you want to get in between the studs. You can put a drill bit on there, and it's real easy to take the drill bits on and off. And what I like is how simple it is to go from forward to reverse. Look, I'm going forward. You just snap it with your finger, and just like that, you're back to reverse. And look at this. When you let off, the chuck stops instantly. It's got a lithium-ion battery, and if you want to know whether the battery's charged, you just push that button right there, and you'll notice it lights up green. That tells you you're good to go.
Very good, Ray. Thank you so much. The field continuing to make their way around the track.
I don't think Kevin Harvick would be happy that Ray was drilling holes in his pit box right there.
Well, he may have fixed it. He was fixing
Well, that could have been. Could have been.
There may have been
He's a pretty good fix-it guy, Ray.
There might have been a loose screw that Ray was being able to tighten.
Loose screw?
I was hoping someone would get the, you know, the...
I caught that reference.
The association there. I didn't know if it would go over. Bobby East in there doing some work on that truck. We've got the Ford on board with Bobby East.
NASCAR official is either telling him it's 1 to go or we're holding you for a lap.
ZAXBY'S
Looks like
on
he's
board.
standing in front of him, which is not a good sign. See if we can maybe get a look at that 6 truck of Colin Brown. He's right behind Todd Bodine.
Peeked
There
out
he is
the
right
front.
there. Yeah, doesn't look like a whole lot of damage, but look.
Matt Craftsman's going to say hi to him. He paused momentarily.
Yeah. Vent his frustrations. You see that NASCAR official is standing in front of Bobby East saying, you've got to wait.
Yeah, let's see if we can figure out what happened, why he's held.
Oh, he's got his right front tire.
Watch the official. They saying your right front tire is on that line. You're not allowed to do any work while that is. And
they didn't roll back and correct the problem. They put the fuel in it and he drove off. So therefore a penalty. Green flag.
Green flag back in the air. Again, we've had 6 caution flags today. Back to the restart. Guess who's in front?
Today. NASCAR will work with you on pit road, Phil. All they had to do is push that truck back.
even though they put a little bit of fuel in it, they pushed the truck back and then go ahead and finish filling it up or whatever, and they would have been fine. But they went back to the racetrack, and unfortunately, it's going to cost them a lap.
Terry Cook running second to Ron Hornaday. Brendan Gaughan up to third. Todd Bodine fourth. Colin Brown.
Look at Matt Craftsman there.
Matt Craftsman moving up the racetrack. Colin Brown's going to gingerly try to get by that 88, and Matt Crafton's going to say, no, I'm not going to let you by that easy.
That was a bit of I didn't appreciate being run into right there. So he made a little bit of contact with that 6 of Colin Brown, and fortunately did not cause a melee.
Matt's truck's messed up. You know, he gave it a try.
Justin Marks came off turn 2 and bounced off the wall a little bit.
Matt gave that truck a try down through turn 1 and 2, and it just wouldn't stick for him. Now he's falling back.
Field spreading out already. Let's take another look at what took place on that restart.
He's going to squeeze that 6 of Colin Brown. He is not happy with him, but fortunately did not cause anything right here.
That's usually a pretty cool cap. Darn it. Sometime when you see a guy up in the top 5.
Whoa, up the wall, up into the wall almost, and he's hanging on. No, he's not going to be able to hang on. He slides to the inside. Nobody makes contact with Matt Crafton. That was amazing.
Yeah, Matt was really trying his best to hang on to that thing and run it hard, and unfortunately did not have the rear downforce that he had when he started the race before that damage and lost control of that truck, but everyone did a great job avoiding him.
Wow. 7th caution of the day comes out on lap 91. Rick Wrench shaking his head saying, come on, can't we just have some long green flag runs?
We're not seeing that today.
Sure haven't. See him on the outside. There's Shelby Howard, the 13 truck. Jack Sprague's going to go by. You see him get a little bit loose. Now he gets up on the loose stuff and just loses the back end of that truck.
He was trying his best to run that thing as hard as he could. You know, he wanted to get all he could out of it. And we talked earlier, you have to commit to run wide open through these turns, and that's how you make the best time. He tried it, and he said, I think it'll stick, and it didn't. Got away from him. Luckily, no more damage, and some really good job by the field getting by him. Real close calls there.
Yeah, I think the 51 of Shane Sieg just barely avoided him, did a nice job. Adam, what's going on pit road?
And guys, some interesting chatter on the radio a moment ago. Todd Bodine driving around in the 4th position, and Mike Hillman Sr., his crew chief, sent word up to the spotter stand. He said, hey, ask that 33 if we get up there, if he'll let us lead a lap. Todd Bodine laughed in the truck and said, there's no way they'll let that happen. Hillman Sr. came back and said, I know, but I thought it'd be fun to ask. We don't need the help. It just might get a fun reaction out of those guys. So I think Todd Bodine having some fun here today, guys.
He does have fun at 1.5 mile racetracks. He's won here before. He'd like to make it 2 times in Kansas, but he's got a few trucks to get by. NASCAR's biggest battle is only on speed. Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and more clash for $1 million in cash live from Lowe's Motor Speedway, and you can only see it on speed. Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race in just 22 days. What's happened in 21 days?
NASCAR Craftsman trucks from Charlotte.
That's right.
What a great weekend, though, Michael. You talked about it earlier, how much fun it is. You won that race one time.
Oh, man, that was a big night for me and the Wood brothers. We celebrated well into the morning. The yellow walls, the electricity when you head to Charlotte in May for the All-Star Weekend. Now with the truck race there, burnout contest, pit stop for qualifying, it's all there. I love it.
Yeah, lock it on speed like on a Wednesday or something and just don't ever change the channel. Green flag back in the air here at Kansas. Out in front, Ron Hornaday, Terry Cook, Brendan Gaughan, Todd Bodine, Mike Skinner has moved up into the top 5. Colin Brown drops back to 6. Chad McCumbee, Rick Crawford, Brian Scott in 9th, and Justin Marks in 10th.
Remember I talked earlier that Skinner's trying to get his arms around the setup for this 1.5 mile. Look like he's got them around there pretty good right now.
He really has a pretty good car. As Jeff Hensley said earlier before the race, I thought they were horrible. Really, Mike has done a pretty good job. He's battled around the top 5 this entire race. There's that 8 of Chad McCumbee. He's having another good run now.
He hasn't been on the same pit strategy with the field since the race started.
Here's that Ford onboard of Brendan Gaughan. What a ride that camera has had, and we've been able to enjoy with Brendan today. An amazing save as he came out of 4 earlier in this race.
You know, we talk a bunch about 75 less horsepower in the tapered spacer. Did you hear the power that was underneath the hood of that truck when Brendan got her side? He's running probably 140 mile an hour field and does a burnout. That's what these guys are dealing with. They got plenty of power, just a little bit less than they were used to.
Hey, they still have 675 horsepower, even with this spacer plate. So these trucks only ran a qualifying lap a 0.5 of a second slower than last year's pole speed.
And that's why I knew this race would be more difficult for these guys to handle, because they're going so much faster. They're not going as fast down the straightaway. They're going faster in the corner. And that means the degree of difficulty when you're turning the wheel is up. And you're going to have crashes. There's just no way around it.
See a good side-by-side battle. There's Todd Bodine, the 30. Brendan going up on the high side. You know, these trucks, they did some testing earlier at Atlanta, and they were about 15 miles an hour faster than the Sprint Cup cars in the center of the corner. 15 miles an hour.
These two continue to go side by side, friends away from the racetrack, and on the racetrack, obviously competitors. Now we see Shane Sieg back out on the racetrack in that 51. Again, good to see that truck back out there, because coming into this race, obviously the owner's points lead for the 51 and Billy Ballou.
Yeah, they got to pit road and straightened it out, stayed on the lead lap. He's currently running in the top 20. He was 3 wide down on the apron. I don't think that crash bothered him any.
Not at all. Remember, he got the lucky dog when his teammate Mark Mitchell got involved in that accident over in turn number 1.
Jack Sprague moving to the inside, trying to make the pass. Justin Marks just outside of him. Brian Scott, a very impressive performance in the top 10 today.
I was talking to Brian Scott and Dave Fuge, the team manager and crew chief, and he said how invaluable it is to have Mike Bliss's advice. Mike has kind of taken Brian under his wing, and they go with him to test. I know they were on the telephone last night, and Brian was explaining to Mike what the truck was doing, and Mike Bliss said, yeah, I know what you're talking about, the bumps over in turn 2, and that's why. He said, yeah, the bumps are really upset, that that's why it's tight. So Dave Fuge said it's really incredible how much help Mike Bliss is to this team.
And a guy that's recovered from a couple of mistakes earlier in the race, Scott Speed, right behind Brian Scott, currently in the 11th spot. Behind him, here comes Jack Sprague on a differing pit strategy than our leaders due to some fuel mileage concerns. He's fighting his way back toward the top 10. You remember on a restart earlier, he was in the mid-20s, and it looked like a bumblebee's nest ahead of him. He's fought through that. Now he's up toward the top 10, and he can set his sights on getting back to the front where he was earlier.
Yeah, and remember, all these trucks have to make one more pit stop. So now they're on the same strategy as far as having to make one more pit stop each.
Look at Ron Hornaday and the difference he has now between himself and Terry Cook.
How many years have we been watching Ron Hornaday do that? I love that.
Since they started this series in 1995.
When they started having truck races, he was out front, and he still is, and I just love that.
You know, we talked on the setup show about Kyle Busch being a racer, and anything he gets in, he runs hard. Ron Hornaday's the same way, and he's 49 years old, so you don't ever lose that.
Adam Alexander.
We talk about Terry Cook. You know, he won this race 2 years ago, and his crew chief, John Quinn, on the pit box when Eric Darnell dominated, went to victory lane last season, trying to hold on to second. But you talk about varying pit strategies. These guys came down at lap 53 and were penalized by NASCAR after changing right side tires. So they came back down, topped off the fuel tank at lap 55 and put on left side tires, and it just stayed out. That's really the only strategy they felt like would allow them to win. They said they could make it to lap 120 on fuel, and right now they've got what everybody said they needed before the race, and that's track position, Ray.
You know, Adam, you got to look back at Scott Speed's career and realize how many races he's won in open wheel type competition. He won the Red Bull driver search and got a chance to go drive in Formula One. But how different that form of racing as it is than over here in the States in stock cars. He's getting a lot of valuable lessons in the ARCA REMAX Series and right here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, learning about what these vehicles do and how different they are. And he also has a lot to learn about the process of being in the garage area. But Slugger Labby is sort of his overseer these days, and Slugger has a great deal of experience, and he's been able to put Scott Speed in the right direction. It certainly paid off yesterday here at Kansas, and they said it's amazing how much he learns each and every week.
You know, well, we were watching that battle between the 60 of Terry Cook and the 30 of Todd Bodine as they were entering turn number 3. Watch, there was a little bit of debris I saw here. See it right there?
Piece of aluminum.
Looks like a piece of aluminum. We're getting a report that it may have come off the 99 of Eric Darnell, who was back on the racetrack after his damage in that incident coming off turn number 2. But so far, that's been a couple laps, and NASCAR hasn't felt as though they needed to throw the caution flag. So that may be completely up out of the groove right now.
That was really a tough situation for Eric Darnell because the caution didn't come out when he got into the wall. He stayed on the racetrack. He was out of the way of the rest of the field, and so he had to come onto pit road while it was still green flag racing. So he's actually 35 laps down.
Yeah, a caution wasn't going to help him at that point. They got some severe damage to that truck. A guy that caused his own caution, Matt Craftsman, he is currently in position for the Aaron's Lucky Dog. He's got a 19-lap cushion over the guy he's racing. For that.
Should be okay.
I think he's going to, when the caution falls, as long as it doesn't happen within the last 10 laps, he's going to get that lucky dog.
And as long as Ron Hornaday does not put somebody else a lap down, that's the key for Matt Craftsman.
Ford on board of Brendan Gaughan. Taking a look back at the field behind him. Brendan Gaughan running 4th, so McCumbee behind him in the red truck, the one closest to him. Problems again. We've got the 7 into the wall. Andy Lally backs it into the wall. That brings out our 8th caution of the day.
A little debris looked like the rear bumper bar came down off the racetrack onto the apron, and It appeared as though it might have been Dennis Setzer that came by and hit that and shot it back up the racetrack, but that was well after the contact with Andy Lally in the outside wall.
We've seen a lot of trucks back into the wall today.
Well, the design of this racetrack, when you get loose or whatever going in the corner, then that's the natural progression. When you get that thing sideways, it's not a racetrack where you would turn all the way around and maybe hit it driver's side. There's a replay on the inside of the 40 of Chad Chaffin. Got a little bit loose, had to chase it, made some contact with Chad. Chad did a great job saving that truck, but unfortunately for Andy Lally, hard contact.
Difficult day for Andy Lally.
Really need that air to lean on, Rick. When you get down in the corner, if it's not there and you're used to feeling it, you're driving a different, feels like somebody took your spoiler off. And that's what happened to Andy. And you know, he didn't have a whole lot of experience in these things, so it's new to him. Sometimes you learn those lessons without crashing.
We talked about the lucky dog, and he had a little bit of an advantage over the next guy.
19 laps.
And he used that advantage to get back on the lead lap, courtesy of Aaron's.
Yeah, it's going to still be a tough day, though, for Matt Craftsman. A lot of damage to that truck.
He's in trouble. He was going to fall another lap down if the caution doesn't fly when it did. He was that slow, so he doesn't have a whole lot of good upside to the rest of this day.
Here we are with 60 laps to go. Now, last year, more than likely, these trucks would have been able to run 60 laps with the big fuel cells. Have a little bit smaller fuel cell. About 55 to 56 laps was the most I heard down in the garage area that these guys could go.
I think you got to pit and get your 4 tires, though, Phil.
And maybe top it off at the end of this caution flag. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I believe I'd keep my track position, get me 4 tires, and then see when the caution falls to come in and top it off.
Here comes Ron Hornaday, Todd Bodine, your lead lap trucks on pit road. Adam Alexander.
2 former winners in the mix. Todd Bodine won in 05 and 06. It was Terry Cook, and they both come to pit road at lap 108. 4 tires fuel, no changes for Bodine. He said the 30 truck is great. Terry Cook said it's still tight in traffic. 4 tires fuel and an adjustment for the guy who won here 2 years ago. Hornaday in as well to Ray Dunlap.
Remember in the pre-race show, I asked Ron Hornaday, will you make the call or Rick Wren? Hornaday said, let's get a splash and go, save our tires for later. Rick Wren said, no, we need the tires on now. We'll get fuel later. It's 4 tires for the Camping World Chevrolet. They will get a little clean off on the grill. Hornaday's going to roll out right behind David Starr.
David Starr winning the race off of pit road. Another truck actually got out in front of Hornaday as well, Donnie Leah.
Yeah, Donnie Leah. We talked about that incident over there in the corner when Andy Lally hit the wall. Watch the debris. Now, the rear bumper bar is going to come down the racetrack, and I'm pretty sure it's Dennis Setzer that's going to come along on the apron of the racetrack and going to make contact. Watch that thing shoot back up the racetrack up to the outside wall.
And then that slides back down and gets almost in front of the entrance to pit road. They'll clean that off. We're still under caution. It's the 8th caution of the day from the Kansas Speedway. When we come back, we'll have more Green Flag Racing.
One night before the All-Star Challenge, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series provides its own shootout under the lights in NASCAR's backyard, Lowe's Motor Speedway. Chevrolet has dominated this 1.5-mile oval. Can Mike Skinner or Todd Bodine bring Toyota their first win at Lowe's? The trucks kick off a big weekend of racing on speed, starting with the setup at 7:30 p.m., followed by the green flag, only on Speed.
Something exciting to watch the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series under the lights at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Mike Skinner came onto pit road. They topped off, as well as Chad Chaffin and Stacy Compton. So Skinner will restart in the back of the line of the lead lap trucks. Ray Dunlap.
Little interesting radio chatter down here, Rick. I just heard Jeff Hensley say to Skinner, I don't think some of those other guys can make it all the way here. He said, we're coming back in to make sure we're topped off. I know we can go about 56, but probably not much more than that. And he said he thinks they're getting better fuel mileage than the Chevrolets and some of those other guys. So Hornaday was on pit road at 108. Only a couple laps different, but it could be the fuel mileage race we were talking about.
Green flag back in the air.
Jack Smith brings them down again.
Yeah. Jack Smith in the 63, and now David Starr is poking to the outside. He's going to take over the lead.
Donnie Leah, the 71's going to follow him by. There's Ron Hornaday looking for a place to get by.
Todd Bodine's making a move. Is he on the inside of Hornaday?
Looks like he's peeking down. They're going to try to drive it into number 3.
There won't have to be any team orders here. Todd Bodine tried to, he gets a little loose. Ron Hornaday continues to go by, and now he will set his sights on that 71 of Donnie Leah.
3 wide back there for about the 7th position. Looked like Rick Crawford made a nice move, get by a couple trucks.
That 63 of Jack Smith starting to drop back quicker now. Stayed on the track, was able to lead a lap here.
Done a nice job staying on the lead lap in this race, even though there's been a lot of caution flags, but still been on the lead lap just about this entire race.
Hornaday was able to fight his way around David Starr.
Problems in 4, sliding down off of turn number 4. That's Donnie Leah in the 71.
Hasn't anything yet.
David Starr has a lot of damage to the right side of his 11 Red Horse truck.
A lot of damage. He must have got into the wall, Phil.
Definitely got into the wall. He had just lost the lead on the back straightaway to Ron Hornaday.
He may have hit the outside wall trying to avoid Donnie Leah when Donnie Leah got sideways down there in turn number 4.
I don't know. Might have been contact with another truck. He looks like he's in a hurry.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those trucks with a side flat like that. See, right front tire not even moving on that Red Horse Toyota.
Take another look. This is coming through 3 and 4. You see Donnie Leah moved up, got into David Starr, and put him right into the wall.
A tough break for David Starr. Had a good run running up in the top 5. Donnie Leah did as well. Donnie got sideways. Unfortunately, David Starr was there to keep him from hitting the outside wall.
Well, in Donnie's defense, we've seen guys like Rick Crawford have the same thing. Other trucks, too, have the same thing happen. His got away from him, and unfortunately for David Starr, he was on the outside of him when it took place.
We're getting into that fuel window now. Will we see some of these guys come in and top off?
Some of the guys, I think, will. Ron Hornaday is staying on the racetrack as well as Todd Bodine. You know, these caution flags will allow these guys to have a little better fuel mileage, so that may be enough to get these guys over the hump. It looks like Brendan Gaughan. Is that Brendan Gaughan coming in as well?
Brendan Gaughan's on pit road as well as Matt Crafton.
We know Hornaday, we know that Skinner's going to make it now. He topped off at the end of the last caution. Thought he could go 56 green flag laps. These caution flag laps usually count about 2 for 1. You run 2 caution flag laps and it equals 1 of the green ones you had planned on.
As far as fuel consumption. Now we see Brendan Gaughan making his way off of pit road. And Brendan Gaughan has had a strong truck today. He's run up in the top 3. Our lucky dog goes to the 99 of Eric Darnell. So Eric Darnell able to grab 1 of his 35 laps down back.
The NASCAR Day Telethon is coming up. Call 188 May 16th or text your email address to 81714.
Welcome back to Kansas. Green flag back in the air. Out in front. Yes, it's Ron Hornaday once again. Todd Bodine right on his back bumper. Johnny Benson, Colin Brown, and Terry Cook are your top 5.
Jim McCumbee made a move to the bottom of the racetrack to get by the 9 of Justin Marks. See if Todd Bodine can do anything with this 33 truck. Nobody really has been able to this entire race.
Is he going to make it on gas, Phil? Right on the edge of the window when he pitted?
I think he's right on the edge of the window. But
a little bit of caution.
I was a little bit surprised that more of these guys didn't top off like Mike Skinner did.
I bet you Mike Skinner surprised too. They made that decision to top off, give up their track position in hopes of that paying off. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless
all these cats start running out of fuel or feel like they didn't need to top off then because they couldn't make it that far. But, you know, I usually poll the crew chiefs in the garage here race morning on how far you can go. Jeff Hensley is the guy that told me that he could go the farthest, and he said he thought they could go about 56 laps. That's going to be enough if he can do it today.
Exactly.
Right at the window. You always have to figure in green, white, checkered, though, as well as the end of a race.
I may not have enough to do that.
A lot of damage to the front of that Dodge of Dennis Setzer in our last winner in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Martinsville. Looks like it'll be a tough day for him today, though. Still running in the top 15. He's dropped back to 15. Jason White in the 08 going by Donnie Leah as we ride along with the ZAXBY'S on board of Bobby East.
Yeah, Bobby's still on the lead lap right now, being shown in the 21st position. Ooh, whoa. Colin Brown got real loose coming off of 4.
He picked up that spot off of Johnny Benson. That kid's impressive. He's on the gas.
He really is. And what a great team, though. Mike Bean, who has been over so many of those wins over at Roush Fenway with Mark Martin and Travis Quapple last year. Really is. They're really high on this Colin Brown. He really hasn't had the start this season like he should have. He's run well, just got caught up in some incidents not of his making, and just hasn't got the good finishes like he deserved.
The only thing he's done wrong today is got Matt Craftsman in an incident of not of his own making. But other than that, the moves he's made, the way he's driven that truck's been very impressive.
He tried to improve on his career best in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series of 9th. Happened earlier this year, the second race of the season in California.
He looks like he's got a truck that can get up there and race for the win here at Kansas. He's closed in on Todd Bodine. Be interesting to see, Phil, how he goes about trying to pass Todd. We've seen him dedicated to diving in low on the bottom. It bit him a little bit ago with Craftsman.
He's going to do it right now, though. Just drove to the bottom of that 30 truck of Todd Bodine, side by side.
Now let's watch when they get down to turn 1. This is when it gets difficult. Todd's not going to cut him any slack. The kid will dive in there. Can he hold it without getting sideways?
He's been able to stay on the white line at least through 3 and 4 very well. And looks as though he's going to be able to do it through 1 and 2 as well. He's got the nose in front of that 30 as they go down the backstretch.
Yeah, Todd fights back on the outside. Todd actually pulls out back in front of him coming on down the backstretch.
So Colin Brown flirting with second. Todd Bodine takes it back. Johnny Benson lurking back there in 4th.
That allowed Ron Hornaday to open up about a half a dozen truck length lead. You know, I wonder if Ron Hornaday may be in a bit of a conservation mode right now. Maybe Rick Wren said, hey, we need to save a little bit of fuel here.
Well, you know, earlier in the race, his teammate, Jack Sprague, wouldn't pit at a certain point because they weren't getting good enough mileage to make it on one stop from there. So you got to figure that 2 truck is going to have to come to pit road before the checker flag falls.
Yeah, we also have to remember the 10, the 4, and the 40 all came in and topped off later than the rest of the field as well. So they should be able to make it on fuel. So there's 3 trucks that you've got to throw in there with Skinner. If it goes green the rest of the race.
That's right.
That's the big key.
And that will be the longest stretch of the race for a green flag run if it goes to the end. So there's still a lot of ifs out there. But now that the field's kind of stretched out a little bit, and we've had some crashes, it's beginning to feel like maybe this thing could run to the checker flag, Ray, without another caution.
And that'll be big problems for Ron Hornaday because they cannot make the distance. As I said at the beginning of the race here, lots and lots of horsepower under the hood there from Pro Motors, but they use a lot of fuel to do that, and they cannot go anywhere past lap 160. So they know they've got to come back to pit road for at least a splash of fuel. They're hoping we see at least one more caution. Adam?
Well, and to kind of play off of what you just said in regard to Ron Hornaday, listening to Mike Bean, the crew chief for the 6 of Colin Brown, he said, make sure you save fuel. I've been listening to the guys in front of you on the radio, and they need to save fuel as well. And the guy right in front of him is Todd Bodine. I went over after this last caution, looked up at his crew chief, Mike Hillman Sr., and said, can you go the distance? And he kind of half-heartedly shook his head, yes. I don't think anyone is convinced they can go the distance from here. And the caution flag may be the best friend of all these guys.
There comes Jack Sprague. He's still racing on the racetrack. He's not conserving fuel right now as he goes by Johnny Benson.
Yeah, that's a battle for the 4th position, but we know, I think they may be in a mode where we know we're going to have a little splash of fuel, so I might as well run as hard as I can, get as close to the front as I can. That could put Mike Skinner in the driver's seat here.
He's got some company behind him, guys that have pitted on this last caution. That all goes out the window if the caution flag falls.
Problem sliding through turn 4. That's the 09 of Bobby East. Also involved Dennis Setzer with some hard damage to the right front of that truck. That brings out our 10th caution of the day. And that's exactly what these guys were, I'm guessing, hoping for, is something that would get them in their window.
Yeah, this may be enough, the reduced speed under these caution laps to allow these guys to make it, or it will obviously give these guys an opportunity to come down pit road if they want. Now, if Mike Skinner chooses to stay out of the racetrack, if everybody else comes in because they feel like they need the extra fuel, he could have some track position at least.
Let's take another look at this. A lot of damage to the right side of that number 18, and this is why.
Oh, he lost the right front tire, looks like.
Yeah, it looked like he cut down the front tire and then into the wall. Bobby East did a nice job avoiding him, went through the grass and down pit road. Take another look at it.
This is evasive action at its best. Bobby East said, I believe I'll be taking a left. Didn't hit a thing.
Yeah, and didn't see him till the very last second because he was right behind the 46 of Landon Castle. Watch this now. This is going to be a great view right here.
Holy cow. What's he doing there?
Wow. Talk about instantaneous reflex.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, do you have to have great reflexes to be a race car driver? I said, well, experience will help you a lot of times. Sometimes it's best not to react. But in that case, he had to take a left in a hurry or he was going to drive over top of Dennis Setzer.
Real hard left turn by Bobby East. We see that 18 of Dennis Setzer still stopped on the back stretch. The infield grass, the window net down, so he'll be climbing out. A difficult day for Dennis Setzer after being on such a high 4 weeks ago, the last time the Craftsman Truck Series raced.
Have they got tires? Anybody got tires?
You know, I don't think most of them have tires left. Remember, Rick Wren wanted tires. Hornaday said, let's wait till later. Rick Wren said, no, we want them now. So I'm not sure.
We'll get gas later. We want our tires now.
Exactly. Let's see what happens. Pit road is still closed right now, so we're going to put off for a lap.
This is strategy and suspense here, Rick. Some guys are saying we're 2 laps short. We got to stay out and keep our track position. I think Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague have no choice. They've got to come to pit road if they're that far off. Now, Mike Skinner has already made his play. He's going to get track position when these guys come to pit road. It'll be interesting to see who's been telling the truth, Bill.
What's this guy thinking right now, Michael? Is he coming? Is he coming or not?
I want to tell you, whatever he's saying, he ain't told you yet. He made up whatever he said to anyone earlier. I think from what I've learned listening to these guys down in the garage area, they got to come right now.
Ray Dunlap.
They are not coming, I can tell you that. Rick Wren just said we are going to be on fumes at the end of this race, but he said the good news is Dennis Setzer's sitting down there in the grass, and he said, I'm hoping they have one of the slowest track crews in the history of the world here at Kansas. Hopefully it takes them forever to get him hooked up on a rollback or whatever they got to do to get him off the track. He said we need 8 laps of caution more from this point.
There's no way it takes 8 laps to clean this thing up.
It won't take 8 laps, but
they've made their play.
Yeah.
So, will Ron Hornaday make it to the end of this race, or will he run out of fuel? We're going to find out when we come back. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR, Craftsman, and Sears. By Aaron's Sales and Lease Ownership. Nobody beats Aaron's. Nobody. And by Ford. Drive one.
None of the leaders elected to pit.
Some of the trucks at the very back came down pit road. Shake seeing the 51. That's the bottom of your screen. There's Bobby East, the 09. Shelby Howard, the 13, now pulling out of his pits after topping off. Here comes Landon Castle in the 46. Matt Crafton is in as well. Jack Smith in the 63.
Ron Hornaday stays on the racetrack. So the decision has been made. Hornaday will stay out on the track. They think they can make it on fuel, but it's going to be close. Getting a little closer to dark here at Kansas. There are not lights at this racetrack as the laps continue to wind down for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250. We've completed 131 laps on lap 132 now of the 167.
Still a long way to go in this race. All the trucks running up front stayed out on the racetrack, thinking the caution laps were going to be enough to get those in there, get them in their fuel window.
Kansas Speedway winners, 4 of the 7 previous winners were 25 years of age or younger. So that shines a light on Colin Brown right now, as he's the only one under 25 years of age in the group of 4 right there, or 5. You can throw Johnny Benson in that mix as well.
Terry Cook running 6th. The next young driver we have is running 7th. Scott Speed, what a day he's had.
Yeah, what a weekend. Green flag back in the air now as Ron Hornaday leads the field to the green flag. Todd Bodine just behind him. Colin Brown, Jack Sprague, Johnny Benson, Terry Cook, Scott Speed, Rick Crawford, and Brian Scott. Chad McCumbee rounds out our top 10.
I think it'd be interesting to see who has the nerve to push the pedal down harder to stay in the lead or stay up front and then still be trying to conserve gas as they race toward the checker. Todd's all over Ron right now. Ron squirts out a little bit, but off turn 2, Todd looked like he wanted the lead.
Look at Jack Sprague, looks to the inside of Colin Brown in a battle for 3rd.
Jack Sprague, Colin Brown, side by side. Here comes Johnny Benson. A good run by Benson as he looks to the inside of that 6, but Jack Sprague not able to complete that pass, and Colin Brown will drive by him on the outside.
Fought back on the outside, was not going to let Jack Sprague have that spot easily.
We talked to Johnny before the race, and he said, we didn't qualify good. I don't know what's going on. Well, I think he's got it figured out pretty good now at the top 5. Colin fought back hard on the outside.
Let me ask you guys a question. Remember when Mike Hillman Sr. was kind of jesting and joking a little bit about, hey, go over and ask the 33 if they'd let us have a lap or let us lead a lap. What do you think about Todd Bodine going out there and breaking the air for the 33? Maybe Ron's going to go, hey, why don't you lead for a while out here?
I don't know. Ron Hornaday is not a guy that's going to give up the lead very easily. That's for sure.
Well, he's already led the most laps, and Nobelin will be able to take that away from him. He's continuing to add to the 103 laps that he's led up to this point. So he's got 10 bonus points.
Well, he wants to lead the rest of these laps, especially that last one.
Lap 167 is the ultimate lap led at Kansas Speedway.
But isn't it always something? You know, you got the dominant truck. You're leading the race. Doesn't appear anybody's got anything for you. Oh, yeah, by the way, Ron, I think we might be a couple laps short. Could you save us some gas while you're out there busting the air, like you said, Rick, for the rest of the field?
But drive away from that 30 truck of Todd Bodine while you're doing it, please.
Justin Marks looking at the inside of Brendan Gaughan now. Sliding way up the racetrack.
Todd Bodine's teammate right there, Jason Overstreet, the crew chief on the truck, the B Foundation on the side of that Toyota.
That's where it gets a little dicey, is when you're down on the inside of another truck.
A couple other trucks right there having a good run. The 08 of Jason White is having a good run. Had a good run at Martinsville last time out. And Donnie Leah also had a top 10 finish at Martinsville.
Jason's a good kid. He loves racing. He works very hard with his sponsor, Gun Brokers, and with his physical fitness. He does everything it takes to have success, and it's good to see that truck last week, like the last run at Martinsville, up in the top 15, and again today up in the top 15.
Yeah, didn't get that finish at Martinsville that he deserved, but he was there the entire race. But maybe he can put it together here and get that good finish.
Those two side by side. That's fourth position. Oh, a little
Donnie got a little
there.
loose down there.
Yeah, that's good. Jason gave him some extra room. It's a good thing. Gets clear of the Donnie Leah truck going into turn 1.
Donnie Leah had the autismspeaks.org emblem on the hood, as April is Autism Awareness Month. Adam Alexander.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Todd Bodine, guys, and if he has a chance to get up and pass Ron Hornaday. Under that last caution, he said, when I get up to him, the truck just plows, talking about the aerodynamics and how difficult it would be to make a pass for the lead. But what about this team? They've got a chance to lead here. The Truck Series point leader with Kyle Busch not running today, and they've done it with a man you see on the left of your screen, Mike Hillman Sr. in command. You know, Mike Hillman Jr. suspended for 4 races earlier this year, but they've battled through adversity. Hillman Jr. comes back at Charlotte in the next race in a few weeks, and he may come back with a team who's coming off a victory here at Kansas.
And potentially the points leader.
Alan Brown, you see him right down on below the white line, giving that Conway Ford a great run.
You know, he was right on the back bumper of Todd Bodine, but it just seems like every time Colin Brown gets around another truck, it doesn't handle very well.
You know what Adam was talking about, that Todd Bodine was talking about when he got to Ron Hornaday, how he got tight, truck started plowing. Colin Brown told me the same thing this morning in the hauler, that the truck really gets aero tight around a lot of the trucks. We've got a good truck, he said, but in traffic, I really get aero tight.
Ron Hornaday with about a 1-second lead over Todd Bodine. The laps continue to wind down. Less than 28 until we'll see the checkered flag. Can Hornaday hold on? And does he have enough fuel? Need your NASCAR fast? The NASCAR in a Hurry is for you. Practice qualifying, nationwide and Craftsman Truck Series highlights, plus the most memorable moments on the set and on the garage. In a lightning fast 30 minutes, NASCAR in a Hurry tomorrow morning, 11 Eastern. 24 laps remaining. We're hearing a little hesitancy from the 33 bunch. They're not sure if they can make it.
I don't see it happening.
I'm not sure they can make it either. I know that 5, or at least I feel as though that 5 of Mike Skinner can. Mike's being shown right now in the 11th position. He's about almost 9 seconds behind our leader, Ron Hornaday.
He could be 29 seconds behind, and if those trucks have to come to pit road, he'll grab the lead.
Started up front. Again, a big note here at Kansas. No one has ever won from the pole position. So Ron Hornaday trying to change history there.
There's Todd Bodine. 25% of the time that he runs a 1.5-mile track, he wins. 8 times in 32 starts.
Here again, we see Colin Brown right on the back bumper of Todd Bodine. It looks as though he's got the better truck, but when he gets back with Todd Bodine, he's not able to make that pass.
He drove all the way up beside him, Rick, but couldn't pull it off earlier. Looks like he has the idea that he wants to try that again.
There's the 2 of Jack Sprague. 45% of his starts on a mile-and-a-half track, he finishes in the top 5, 45% of the time.
I'm going to change your nickname. I think it's going to be Stats. From here on out, it's Stats.
Well, I have to thank Russell for give us these stats too.
He didn't do that, Rick.
I thought it sounded like he did.
We have a crack statistician in Russell sitting over there.
Spectacular job.
There's more sticky notes around here with
a lot of paper flying is all I know. Right now, 21 laps to go. Ron Hornaday. Now, I'm sure that Rick Wren, his crew chief, has said, okay, I need you to save me some fuel, but how difficult is that when you're out in front of the field?
Well, he may feel as though he's saving fuel.
Yeah.
He said, oh, I've got 2 tenths left of me right now, but that's a guy that has had a great weekend right there, Scott Speed. He got a lap down. He got a penalty. They got a lap down. He had to come down pit road a couple different times. He got the lucky dog, got back on the lead lap, and now he's running 7th with some terrific competition. He got by Chad McCumpy right there, that red truck who's had such a great run this day.
We continue to say Scott Speed with a big weekend. We're kind of teasing the fact that the ARCA Remax Kansas 150 comes up right after the truck race. So you want to stay tuned because Scott Speed has had a very remarkable weekend, and you'll want to watch it.
A lot of drama in that race. You don't want to miss it, that's for sure.
Todd Bodine, Colin Brown, still nose to tail. Colin Brown, do you try the outside line? I mean, he's tried the inside and it hasn't worked. Do you try the high side?
Well, he got stuck on the outside once and was able to pass the truck that he got stuck on the outside of, so I think it would be something to consider, but darn, the inside is so inviting. He's put it down there again. He'll go into turn 1 with the responsibility of
staying off that 30 truck.
Lay off the 30 this late in the race. Can he do it? Lap truck's going to come into play, Phil.
Yeah, remember, this could be a battle for the lead if Ron Hornaday does not have enough fuel to get to the end, so that's what these guys will remember. Jack Smith, the 63 truck, forced the 6 of Colin Brown to pull back out behind the 30 of Todd Bodine, so he's going to have to try it again.
And it allowed Jack Sprague to catch those 2.
So now this is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And again, we remind you, we're hearing that the 33, they're questioning the fact that they can make it the final 18 laps. It's 17 now.
I think they're all questioning it. I don't know that there's a guy there comfortable in the fact that he's going to make it the rest of the way, including Mike Skinner, who was the latest one to stop.
How about Brian Scott in the 16, Phil?
Terrific job. Right now running in the 11th position. It was in the top 10 a moment ago. Rick Crawford got by him. Had a top 10 run earlier this year at Daytona for his career best. Really just learning. This is a young driver. We talked about him having a tutor in Mike Bliss, a former champion driving for this same team. Doing a terrific job here. If he can get to the end of this race here, going to have a good top 15 finish for sure.
He's an established golfer away from the racetrack too. Adam.
Well, you guys talk about Brian Scott, and Rick mentioned the fact he's a golfer, a multi-sport athlete in high school, and I think one of the things that has helped him in his Ray Bestis rookie year in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is his competitive nature. I was talking to Brian before the race today, and he was still belly aching about the bad run they had at Martinsville. He had that bad taste in his mouth from the last race. He obviously has used that as motivation today, knocking on the door of his 2nd top 10 of the year, and really, if you break it down, they've run well in every race, had some bad luck, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. They could have been in the top 15 in each race this year. No doubt a promising youngster in the series.
Thanks, Adam. You know what? Just again, we saw the 10 and the 59 battling side by side. Is this the product of 75 less horsepower where they can't complete those passes?
It's just a product of aerodynamics. You know, you lose your aerodynamics when you get on the inside of someone. If you had 75 more horsepower, it'd make it even that much more difficult because you're battling a truck with more power with no air pushing down on the side or the back of the truck. So no, I don't think it's a product of that. I think it's just where we are today in trying to race these vehicles. The competition is so tough. You're not two or 3 tenths faster than the guy you're trying to pass. You're basically running the same speed. It makes it very difficult to complete the pass. These 3, I really believe in my heart, Phil, that the 6 truck of Colin Brown is getting better gas mileage right now than the trucks he's around. He's
little contact right there.
Colin Brown, obviously not knowing that the 2 was down there. He came down on that 2 of Jack Sprague. Got a little bit loose. Now he's trying to hang on to it. Sprague's going to try to get by him.
Yeah, Jack said it's time to go now. We're getting down towards the end of it. We're approaching 10 laps to go. I'm going to try to take this 3rd spot.
I was saying he had a truck in front of him, a truck behind him. He's riding along in a cocoon. He's getting a little bit better gas mileage. So if anybody can make it, I'm liking this 6's chances. Even now that he's behind Sprague, he's got that many trucks in front of him that's breaking the air for him. Hornaday's out there busting it all by himself, and you just don't get as good of gas mileage when you do that.
And Ron Hornaday consistently runs the fastest laps of anybody on the racetrack.
So he's not saving fuel.
Well, I know he's telling Rick Wren, I'm saving fuel. I'm easing. I'm really being easy on it. But they're still running right now a second slower than their fastest laps of the race. So,
Todd Bodine gets spun around. Into the wall he goes. Todd was running second. He got into the side of a slower lap truck, and all of that damage will bring the caution out. Good news for Ron Hornaday. Extremely bad news for Todd Bodine.
What a horrible break for Todd Bodine. It looked like they were lapping the 09 of Bobby East, and looked like Todd was on the inside. Did he get a little bit loose down on the inside, Michael?
Yes, I think that we'll have to look at a replay, but it looked like Todd just maybe assumed that the 09 would give him a little bit more room than he did.
And as a lead lap truck running up in the top 5, you would expect that. And you should be able to get that kind of courtesy. But we'll see. We have to see what happens.
We have to see it because Bobby might have just been running a normal line and given Todd plenty of room. And when Todd dove on the inside of him, it got loose. We need to watch this and see what happened.
Take a look.
Todd's going to dive down to the inside.
He got loose on his own.
He got loose before he even got into the corner.
It looked like he clipped the left rear of the 09 truck, which sent his truck sideways before they ever got to the corner. Look at Bobby East. He's plumb up out of the groove. He did nothing wrong. Todd just looks like maybe made a bit of a mistake entering turn 3 on the inside of that lap truck.
Yeah, I don't think we can put the blame on Bobby East right here.
I tell you what happened. You heard Bobby East back out of the truck, back out of the gas really early. I think the closing rate, Todd misjudged a little bit that Bobby was going to back off the gas. He felt like Bobby would be on down in the corner and he'd have room to get under him. So I think Bobby letting out of the gas to make sure he stayed high made Todd run into him.
Maybe similar to the situation with Matt Crafton and Colin Brown, where Colin Brown misjudged that, ran in the back of Matt Crafton. Adam.
And guys, Todd Bodine obviously used up, but Mike Hillman Sr., the crew chief, said try and cut it up so we can get him out and finish the race. And one of the problems they had, the battery on one of the saws they're using on the truck was dead, so they had to get a different saw over. That took a little extra time. A tough ending of the day for Todd Bodine. And as far as what happened, Todd has been dead silent on the radio. We hope to hear from him perhaps in a moment or following the race.
Difficult night for not only Bobby East and Todd Bodine. Ray Dunlap.
Guys, just to add to that, as Michael was spot on with it, it was prearranged for Bobby East to give Todd the inside. They had also made that agreement for the 33 of Hornaday. So Bobby East was well aware they were there, and he had gone to the high side of the racetrack to let them have the inside. I think Michael's right on. It was just the closure rate there. So he knew he was coming. It was all prearranged. The spotters have been talking about the leaders coming up on the 09.
Yeah, that was not Bobby East's fault. Todd Bodine assumed a lot of times when you assume, that's when you have a problem. Like if you assume a guy's going to let you have the corner, then he doesn't, then you crash. So Todd just assumed he was going to give him more, run in there deeper. It got him in trouble. These guys don't come to pit road, do they, Phil?
No way. You know way you're going to give up the track position.
They would have come 20 laps ago if they were going to come.
This just gives them a little bit more insurance right here is all this does.
But we talked about Kyle Busch not being here, and he was going to give up the points lead. Listening to one of the radios there. But obviously Kyle Busch was not going to be your points leader coming out of this race. We thought that Todd Bodine was going to assume that role, but now with him having troubles, Ron Hornaday is the next one in line that could take over the points lead. Ray Dunlap.
Hey guys, when we look down across the scoring monitors right now, you'll notice that all 3 Bill Davis Racing trucks are in the top 10 right now. Johnny Benson scored in 4th. You look back at Scott Speed is in 6th, and Mike Skinner back in 8th. If those 3 trucks are able to finish in the top 10, it would be only the second time in Truck Series history that a team had 3 trucks in the top 10. These guys did it back at California. Johnny Benson, Scott Speed, and Mike Skinner looking for a top 10 run for Bill Davis Racing.
And that's pretty impressive when you think of guys like Roush Fenway and Smith. I mean, Jim Smith had a great group of trucks.
Yeah, but he rarely had 3 trucks running. He oftentimes had 2 trucks with Ultra Motorsports. And certainly, you know, they finished 1-2 before. Ted Musgrave, Jason Leffler, I know did on occasion.
Have they got Todd back on the road?
Well, he's going to go back out on the racetrack. But again, he's got a lot of work and a lot of damage to that truck.
Maybe he's going to the garage.
Okay, that's a pretty rare sight right there for us to see that Lumber Liquidators Toyota banged up like that. The last DNF and accident was at Las Vegas 12 races ago, but again, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that thing's wounded.
Very rare.
Coming to the green with less than 10 to go, Rick.
He makes the hard left turn. He goes to the garage. That will end Todd Bodine's night. Now the question is, Ron Hornaday, has he had enough caution flag laps to make it all the way to the end on fuel? Green back in the air at Kansas.
And he's got that 2 truck of Jack Sprague, his teammate, behind him. He's been a pretty good truck all day.
You know, I think when Jack went around the outside of Colin Brown, he learned something about that outside high groove. He moved up there and made that pass. He put that in his memory bank. He's liable to go after Hornaday on the outside late in the going.
Skinner made a couple moves on the outside. He was able to get by his teammate Scott Speed to move up a spot.
The field was nose to tail. It was a single file restart inside of 10 laps to go. Now it's Kevin Harvick Incorporated racing teammates. Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, nose to tail, 7 laps to go at Kansas.
This is exactly what Kevin Harvick envisioned when he added this second truck right here to Jack Sprague. He went to the outside there, trying to see if he's got a line here.
He just feeling it out. He made a great move on the 6 truck. What's happening back?
A lot of smoke coming out of that
Terry
truck.
Cook.
Terry Cook has got problems with the 60. Smoke rolling out of that truck. Now Mike Skinner right behind him. He's got to be a little bit nervous.
It could be an oil line, Phil. It looks a whole lot like an oil line late in going here.
You don't want to get on the outside.
Oh, we got a spin behind him. Brian Scott. Caution's out.
Could be fuel or fluid on the racetrack. Brian Scott gets turned around. That brings the caution out once again. This is a record 12th caution today.
Brian Scott able to come down pit road, did not lose a lap. We have 19 trucks right now on the lead lap. We're inside of 10 laps to go. There will be no lucky dog.
No lucky dog. Single file restart. Rick Wren still stressing. Can we make it all the way to the end? And what about a green-white checkered finish? We don't want that.
No, they don't need that aggravation. And in fact, if this 60 truck's putting down fluid, this could lead us to a green-white checkered. Take a while to clean it up.
There's Brian Scott right there, right in front of Ted Musgrave. He's on the inside, just gets a little bit loose, trying to make a pass there. Ted sees it all the way.
You know when I talked earlier about a young kid learning and spinning out and not having to pay the price like Andy Lally did? The same thing happened to Brian Scott that happened to Andy Lally. Andy Lally crashed his truck, though, and Brian Scott drove off without, you know, he put a valuable lesson in his experience without losing a truck over it.
So, will it be Ron Hornaday hanging on to win once again in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series? Or could his teammate Jack Sprague get by him on the restart? Ron Hornaday is awful good at restarts. We'll get back for the start after this. They brought a backup flagman up there because of Miss Lopez's arm might be getting tired of the record cautions here at Kansas. 12 times she's had to throw in the caution flag.
The bad news is for Terry Cook, that is a black with a white cross flag. Now, if he does not come down the pit road and heed the black flag, then he will get that flag, which means there will be no more scorecard. But here he comes down pit road.
Well, he shouldn't be surprised with this. I mean, he was smoking up the whole joint.
Right. And again, there's a little bit of smoke still coming out of there, but we heard on his team communications that he thought he still had oil pressure. Right.
Hey, how about bonus laps? You know, last year when we went into Homestead, that great championship we had between Hornaday and Skinner, well, bonus laps were certainly going to be a big part of that. Look at the bonus laps that Ron Hornaday has already accrued so far in 2008. It's kind of the reversal of a year ago. Ron Hornaday has been out front an awful lot, and we haven't seen Mike Skinner leading a lot of races this year, but Ron Hornaday just needs to lead a couple more laps to get his first victory of 2008.
Yeah, Ray, even further on that, last year through 4 races, Mike Skinner's average finish was 1.75. This year it's over 17, so he's not had the start to this season anything like 2007.
Quite a difference. Hey, how about a smile on Rick Renn's face?
Likes caution flag laps.
Yeah.
Caution flag laps are good. Good for gas mileage.
He's also grabbing his chest, too. So.
Well, he likes caution flag laps, but I'm guessing he'd like to see the green flag here pretty soon because he doesn't want to go any extra laps here at Kansas.
Well, they're going to come back and get that. I think this is hurting Jack Sprague a little bit, Phil. He wanted to sort of fool around with that upper lane, you know, and learn what he had. He's not going to really have a chance to do that.
Right now, he's got Johnny Benson right behind him, too. He doesn't have that cushion that he had. And Colin Brown right behind him doesn't have that cushion he had just a few moments ago.
Adam, what did they find under the hood of the 60?
Well, they let him go. They looked, the crew did, but the NASCAR officials looked underneath the race car very diligently to see what they could find, and they've let Terry go back out on the racetrack. They looked for the fluid, but apparently everything's okay. He's back on the track.
Here we go. Ron Hornaday about to get the green flag. He's great at restarts. Does he have enough fuel to make it all the way? Green flag in the air at Kansas. Fans are on their feet, expecting a shootout. 2 laps of racing to go. Jack Sprague all over the back bumper of Ron Hornaday.
Look at Mike Skinner go to the high side. Let him do something with Johnny Benson, his teammate. It allows Chad McCumbee to move to the inside.
Skinner trying to make the move on Chad McCumbee. Goes to the high side. Does he clear him? He does as they come out of 4. So that's another position. Skinner's been able to get to the top 5. He's up in the top 4 now. White flag, 1 lap of racing to go. Inside 1.5 miles. Ron Hornaday, can he hold on?
And does he have enough fuel to get to the end?
Not trying to give anything to Jack Sprague as far as a little bit of a draft. Sprague looks to the outside. Will he slingshot off of turn number 4? Coming out of 4. Ron Hornaday looks as though he's going to have enough fuel, and he will win at Kansas.
What an outstanding effort by Rick Renn and Ron Hornaday, that entire Kevin Harvick Incorporated team.
Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, Kevin Harvick Incorporated teammates 1 and 2.
Brendan Gaughan past Chad McCumbee coming off the 4th turn to grab the 6th spot away from Chad. It also passed Scott Speed off the 2nd turn. So what a great last. Brendan drove his heart out today and deserves that 6th place finish. He did a great job.
How about I was going to say, how about a Colin Brown finish, but how about a spectacular career best finish for Colin Brown?
That's right.
3rd for him.
Also Scott Speed's best.
Yep, 3 Bill Davis trucks, as Ray was talking about, in the top 10. First time in that organization's history they've had 3 trucks in the top 10.
My guy shined a spotlight on earlier, Landon Castle. He came up with a top 15 run. Good, solid 13th place finish.
First ever start, so a very good day for Landon Castle.
Let's see how many darn burnouts you can do with that much gas.
Hey, Ray Dunlap, who have you with?
I've got Rick Renn. He chewed up a lot of Tums today, guys. I can promise you that. Brand new racetrack, hasn't been there, a race truck, and it was just about as good all weekend as you could ask for.
I'm going to tell you what, we've worked really hard to try to, we raised the bar last year when we won the championship. Told the guys this winter we're going to have to work really hard because it's going to make everybody else going to work hard. And we built a brand new. Matter of fact, both these trucks run 1st and 2nd. They were brand new today. They never hit the racetrack till yesterday. And I tell you what, that 33 truck, that Camping World Chevrolet, fell out of the truck fast yesterday, and it hadn't checked up since. And it's kind of nice to see our team trucks running 1st and 2nd on the restart. But I'm gonna tell you what, I did eat a lot of Tums.
Congratulations. Go enjoy Victory Lane. Rick Renn is the most winningest active crew chief in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and Rick Renn gets victory number 16 of his Truck Series career.
Celebratory pump of the fist there. Brendan Gaughan about to climb out of his truck, but boy, is he happy after what he did on the last lap.
As well as the whole entire race, Michael.
They should all hug him. Watch what he does coming off turn 4.
He's already passed the 22 of Scott Speed. He dives down to the inside, which is uncharted territory for him. He likes the outside and passes that 8 truck.
He got that 8 truck because they said in his mirror, they said on the radio,
he's all the way to the top. Here comes Aiken and Bull up to block him, and Brendan just turns left and passes him.
They said, Brendan's behind you, better go high, and he went high, and Brendan went low. Great move. Great day for Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, what a save early on. He was completely sideways coming out of turn number 4, saved it. But it's the 34th win, career win, number 34 for Ron Hornaday. His last win came 12 races ago at Loudon. He led 5 times today for 136 laps.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Ray Dunlap down in victory lane. Let's see if Ron Hornaday is ready to climb out of that truck.
He's coming out of that Camping World Chevrolet right now for win number 34. They did it from the pole. Dominating fashion, led all day today. A big high five from Rick Wren and a kiss from wife Lindy. And Ron, I asked you at the beginning if you were going to make the call on the final pit stop or let Rick Wren do it. He said we'll get tires. Everything worked out just about as perfect as it could today.
Man, I guess the yellows worked in our favor, but I thought it was too early. The wet tires did, and you could see it, and this thing just a rocket ship. I don't know where to start. Skip working his guts out, and all the guys back at the fab shop. There's a brand new truck. Rick Wren believing in these guys to bring this thing just straight from the wind tunnel coming here. And haven't sat in it since I've been here. Got to thank Kevin Delaney for giving us all the opportunity, Danny, and all these guys here. And Chevrolet, Camping World. Man, I can go on. I'll tell you what, you don't have trucks like that. How about a 1-2 finish for KHI and VFW? You start naming everybody. This is just so awesome. And to have a truck like this, I didn't do a burnout. Trying to save this truck, I think. We don't want to replace the drive shaft or anything, so a little less work on you guys, and it's in one piece, so this is cool. Thanks, Kevin Delaney, for everything.
Talk about the start of this season. You know, whenever we saw that you and Jack Sprague were going to be teammates, everybody said, how can that ever work? A 1-2 finish here, it seems like you guys are working together as one big unit.
We are, and if I known he was that good, I wouldn't have let him lead a lap because he almost got the last one. I was trying to save a little bit of fuel. I go in there and I figured out I got about 3 or 4 truck lengths on him. All of a sudden I come out the back straighter when he's on my rear end. But this is really cool that to have Kevin Delaney believe in both of us and how hard this whole team works together with Ernie Cobe and Rick Wren and all these guys. And all the guys, I mean, it just takes everybody. Rick Crowley up there, he could be driving this thing, but he's up there spotting and just cheering me on. And he gets to be a cheerleader other than that. But, man, I don't know where to start, especially at this motor. How about Mark Smith and all them guys, Pro Motors? This is a new piece, and Chevrolet's new manifold. This is fun.
All right, well, this team won the championship a year ago. They've got great horsepower and great brand new trucks. A 1-2 finish for Kevin Harvick Racing.
Ron Hornaday back on top of the points. A clean race truck for Ron Hornaday. Not the same way for Matt Crafton today. We look back on the incident with Crafton and Colin Brown. This was on lap 91. Colin Brown gets into the back of him, Crafton into the wall. So damage, and that brought out our 7th caution of the day.
Yeah, this is later on. Matt Crafton comes back on the racetrack. He's going to let Colin Brown know that he didn't appreciate that being run into like that. Makes a little bit of contact, and this is right after the race when Matt Crafton's going to come over in person and tell Colin Brown that he didn't appreciate what happened.
Well, you know, Colin got to the back of him, which was bad, but darn, he didn't let him go. He hit him again and wrecked him. So Matt's mad now. When he sees the replay, he's really going to be mad.
Yeah. Adam Alexander, you're with Colin Brown.
Well, Matt Crafton, not the only guy that came over. Jack Sprague came over and visited you as well. A solid run, but what those guys have to say after the race, Colin?
Well, you know, first of all, I want to apologize to Matt. You know, I didn't mean to get in the back of him there. We just had a good run going there, and, you know, it seemed like he just stopped real fast in front of me, and I was on the brakes as hard as I could. And, you know, I feel real bad that I wrecked him there. You know, he had a good truck, and I apologize for that, and congratulations to Ron Hornaday. And the deal with Sprague, you know, my spotter was saying he's got to run on you, but he never stayed inside. So, you know, I guess came down on him there a little bit, and I apologize for that again. You know, just rookie out there, so made a few mistakes today, but luckily this whole number 6 Common Freight Ford F-150 team did a real good job.
You hate that it ends this way, but you got to love the fact that you had a career best top 5 today.
Oh, absolutely. You know, everybody here did a great job, and you know, certainly along the way I knew I was going to make some rookie mistakes, and it sucks that I had to end up in wrecking Matt Crafton there, and you know, I guess that's how it goes sometimes, though, when you're a rookie. And we'll move on from here and go to Charlotte, and I'm sure we have a pretty fast truck.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Be having a pretty fast truck.
Yeah, I'm guessing he will.
He had a pretty fast truck today.
He sure did. This is the unofficial point standings. Ron Hornaday moves up, as does Rick Crawford. Todd Bodine, who came in 2nd, drops back to 3rd after having a DNF here at Kansas. Johnny Benson creeps up to 4th again after coming in the 9th spot.
He's been a ping pong ball, Johnny Benson. He was up there and dropped to 9th after the incident in Martinsville. Now all the way back up into the top 5.
See our Kyle Busch, our point leader, coming in, does not come here obviously to run this race, drops to 6th, but he will be back All-Star Weekend in Charlotte, Friday night of All-Star Weekend in the Craftsman Truck Series race.
Jack Sprague, he has wisdom that he can give to the younger racers in this series.
I saw him just say good job to Colin Brown too right there.
Let's go down to Adam.
Yeah, we heard Colin Brown talking about what happened on the racetrack, and I know as a veteran driver, you got to explain situations. So what'd you say to Colin after the race?
I basically told him don't ever do that again. I got under him fair and square, didn't touch the boy, and he run over me down here, and I about spun him out, and I let him go. He says he didn't know I was there. The spotter didn't tell him, but that's cool, whatever. But I just told him don't do it, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to take it. So great day for KHI, man. The American Commercial Line Chevrolet was awesome. We just maybe pitted once when we weren't supposed to or shouldn't have there, and had to go to the back and had to use my stuff up pretty hard. But and I had the outside line working, and I wanted this race about as bad as I've ever wanted anything, and just a little short. But I came up short to my teammate, which is couldn't ask for a better scenario. Just want to thank Mark Smith and Pro Motors. Had great motor, had great body. Everybody at KHI for doing a great job. Had great pit stops. Just a little short.
2 brand new race trucks, 1-2 finish for Kevin Harvick Incorporated.
He thinks everything was great.
Hey, take a look at what's coming up here for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and what a huge weekend on speed it's going to be from Charlotte. Friday, May 16th, we've got practice, qualifying, the setup, and then the NCTS 200 at Charlotte.
Yeah, every time the trucks are on the racetrack in Charlotte on Friday, May 16th, we will have it right here on speed.
Well, when you look at that Charlotte racetrack with those yellow walls and these trucks here on speed in HD, I cannot wait to get to Charlotte and be a part of the show that the Craftsman Truck Series will put on there during the All-Star weekend.
You know, listening to Jack Sprague saying he wants this win so bad, he wants to beat Ron Hornaday, because Hornaday right now, coming into this, he had 33 wins. He's got the most wins in the Truck Series. Now he adds to that. Jack Sprague second at 28 wins, so he's trying to knock away at that little lead Hornaday has, but having your teammate beat you like that is just difficult.
But Kevin and Delana have to be so proud of what they put together. People said, that won't work. Oh, yes, it will. We can make that work. And today showed it. Ron was leading the race. He gave Jack the lead for some points. Then they battled to the end. Jack had a run on Ron on the outside. I know he wanted that victory back because he could taste it. It was right there for him to grab, but it didn't come to be. But he certainly put in a great effort, as the whole KHI team did.
And as we saw earlier, Ron Hornaday grabs a point lead now with a 61-point cushion over Rick Crawford in second.
So Kyle Busch will be back in Charlotte. We'll see if he can try to grab that point lead back. It'll be very difficult now, though, because Ron Hornaday has made a statement here in Kansas, up on top of the field by 61 points in the points battle. Hornaday grabbing his 34th win of his career. Coming up next, the ARCA 150 from Kansas. You won't want to miss that one either.